I couldn't sleep awake last night. No point in turning off the lights. Not the same without your head on my shoulders. Growing pains, but I don't wanna get older. Almost like we left it all already. Couple feelings never laid to rest. Didn't know that the party was over. And it's true that I need you here closer. Burning photos. How to learn to let go of I used to. Somebody in another skin. I heard that
Argumentation.
without me, and I hope it's true. It kills me a little, that's okay, 'cause I die for you. You know I'd still die for you. I hope you're getting everything you needed. Found the puzzle piece and feel completed. Just wanted you to know every reason. Hope you really know that I mean that. You couldn't see the forest from the trees. Only time we speak is in my dreams. Burning photos. How to learn to let go of I used to. Somebody in another skin. I heard that you're happy without me, and I hope it's true. It kills me a little, that's okay, 'cause I die for you. You know I'd still die for you.
Okay. Where are we at? I think this already started. We're late. Fuck. I had to go pee.
Reality itself and knowing reality itself. Again, having a
I don't think I can
justified
rewind.
true belief
God damn
about
it, Andrew.
reality
Let me rewind
that
the
you can make
debates.
sense of
All
without
right.
relying upon this is what I feel, bro. This is the easiest answer. It's parsimonious. All of those things are unjustified reasons and assumptions
What's up, David?
why his worldview should be true when really what's at stake here is which worldview can give an account for the preconditions and the possibilities of knowledge, ethics, and metaphysics.
All right, and that's time.
Yeah, you guys are not gonna keep up with this debate at all. Maybe some of you will, but you know, it's not. I'm not here for you. This is for me. I just figured I'd stream it. So,
Agnostic informant, you have 10 minutes on the clock. Go ahead when you're ready.
So I guess I heard some arguments there of why his worldview is coherent and accounts for these things. Like he said, the logos is personal. There's a few things in there, but mostly what I heard was my opponent needs to do this, needs to do this, needs to do this, needs to do this, worrying about what I'm going to say, when that should be for the next round. You should be giving an argument for your worldview, which I'll be doing right now. My worldview, which I call Apolloist monism, it's metaphysically priority monism. And I'll explain why I call it Apolloist monism in a second. It is basically priority monism as described by.
Yeah, I'm just gonna spoiler alert. This guy is fucking retarded. Just so you guys know, he is absolutely retarded. He's what I like to call a midwit. He's the definition of a midwit. He likes to just make up new terms and definitions and theology that's not real. That's based on a bunch of gibberish, just so he sounds smarter than he actually is. So enjoy.
The nous, which
if
is
you understand a word he's saying, let me know.
By different philosophers. I use Apollo because Apollo is form, intellect, logos, reason, perfection, the sun. We can use the sun as an example.
No. So here's the thing: is his name is Gnostic Informant, and he's not Gnostic. I know. Jay said the same thing when Jay was prepping like last week for the debate. He was like, "Wait, I'm debating a guy named Gnostic Informant, and I'm being informed that he's not actually Gnostic." I'm like, "Yeah, that's retarded."
And then also there's a triad at play because the next emanation, which is the first emanation, which is the nous, is the brightest emanation. It's almost identical to the one itself. It's the closest thing you're going to get from perfection.
Let him cook, guys.
The third
Listen,
emanation is psyche,
as long as people debate
soul.
in good faith, we don't insult them here, right?
Well,
at least we try not to.
All the
I already
numbers
did
that
call
come
him
after,
retarded, but
all the plurality that comes after, the mediator between the physical and sensible, emotions and feelings. I use Dionysus as a way to describe the whirling of the cosmos, and from this triad, emanations go all the way down to the physical world of matter. And the farther away you get from the one, the less good there is. Evil persists in this realm. Humans are at the top of the lowest realm, but our main objective is to climb the ladder to get back to the good. So I'm just giving basic. That's just a basic understanding of. You can ask me whatever you want if you want to go deeper into it, but it accounts for all things because it accounts for the laws of logic. It accounts for particulars. It accounts for universals. All the things that you asked for.
How was my day? Now, a pretty terrible Monday.
It accounts for the one.
Lots of problems
because the
that I had to solve.
Allow for
the joys of
the plurality to be distinct,
big business,
but also have the essence
and having
of
a bunch
one.
of incompetent family members.
Even down to the lowest form of life, there's a little bit of essence of the one within it. It doesn't mean that you and I are the same. That I'm literally your ear or I'm literally your finger. We are distinct, but we all come from the emanations of the one. That's what solves the one and the many. It's a metaphysical argument, just like you would say the Trinity is what accounts for that. Now, I think your worldview is incoherent. My worldview isn't.
Guys, he's not Gnostic though. He
doesn't have contradictions.
That's the funny part. He's actually not Gnostic.
Allows for things like empiricism.
He has some like made up
modern
like
Platonists today.
He has some made up like religion that he made up himself.
Accept evolution, and we accept the age of the earth. Because of empiricism.
Just let him cook.
You can even go back and read Aristotle, who is not an evolutionist, but you can see he got close because of his empiricist mindset, because of his discovery of the laws of logic. He got very close. And I actually have a passage from Aristotle that I had got ready from Lowe, where he says nature, this is from History of Animals. He says nature proceeds from the inanimate to the, I got to sign back in. It signed me out. Damn.
That's an F minus, Neil.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
F minus, Neil.
I got signed out of Loeb.
Neil. You gotta keep it
flowing. I got clocked out of Loeb. That sucks. I can't find it now. Well, okay, whatever. I don't have to say. You guys can look it up on Animals. He says basically I'll just describe.
This is a wind down for you. Yeah, it's a wind down.
That when you look at animals, you can almost see types going into other types. There's almost like a blend of.
Listen, I just got to support my ortho bros ripping apart people with terrible worldviews. All right. That's how I wind down. Right. I wind down by watching my fucking spiritual fucking guides just rip apart these fucking idiots on the internet. Yes.
If he would have went around today and saw the evidence of like when we find fossils, he would have said, "Oh shit, there's transitional fossils." Things like atoms, by the way, I thought this was the defeater for Platonism, and it's actually not. Werner Heisenberg, who is the one who discovered the law of uncertainty, he actually argues that when you smash atoms together, under the Adamist Epicurean view, Democritus view, they should get smaller and break apart. But what happens when you smash atoms together is they actually form mathematical symmetries, which is forms. So it actually favors the Platonist view more. So those type of things is why I started to become convinced by this worldview. So I'm just kind of laying this out for a little bit. But another thing I want to stress is the concept that Plato talks about is apory.
Listen, he does have a nice
Plato,
beard, okay?
In his dialogues, if you read Plato's dialogues, you know they never end on a solution. Socrates is always the best debater, but he never really wins the debate. It's always left off on like they don't really know like we get close to it, but things have to stay open. We need to have that scientific mind that we could be wrong. That's just me completely coming to you honestly. I don't have to know all things. I am a not omniscient being. However, with using empiricism, laws of logic, not going against the law of non-contradiction, the law of identity, the scientific method, I can know things. And we can see that Aristotle discovered the laws of logic thousands of years ago, and they still stand up today. So we can know things almost to a certainty. But the only dogma that a Platonist should hold is virtue. If you are doing things that are breeding virtue, they are good, and you should do them. If you are doing things that are not bringing virtue, you shouldn't do them. That's the main dogma that a Platonist holds.
Well, you are in a Baptist church. So nobody in a Baptist church knows anything.
Paradigm.
No
we
offense.
are disagreeing on that, but I would argue that how do we know God? So you might ask that question. How do I know God? Well, through negation. What God not is. God doesn't contradict himself. For example, God doesn't tell you through his scripture. For example, I have Numbers here. He doesn't tell you that he wants to abort babies, and then thousands of years later, one of the main dogmas of the church is like no abortions. So in the book of Numbers,
if you think I'm smooth shaved, brother, I am an Eastern Orthodox man. You realize, like, brother, my beard is probably longer than you're tall. Okay, like I look like a wizard.
Still the tabernacle and give it to her, and then put a curse on her so that the baby in the abdomen will swell and the womb miscarries. Then the woman is to say, "Amen, so be it." So that's a contradiction in your worldview. You have your own God telling your priest to do abortions, but you say you're anti-abortion. Here's some more. Premise 1, a perfect self-sustained being lacks nothing and does not require appeasement. The biblical God commands sacrifices to atone for sins. Requiring sacrifice implies a need for appeasement or satisfaction. Conclusion.
Where the fuck
Therefore,
does he?
Yahweh
Where does
is
he?
not a perfect, all-sustained being.
Where does he demand
Not only
sacrifice?
that, he requires human sacrifice. In
What?
the book of Judges, Jephthah tells the Lord, he says, if you let me win this battle,
hang on. Let me whip this open right now. Hang on.
I will put on an altar
buzz
and
open my
sacrifice him to
Bible.
you. What does God put in front of Jephthah after he wins the battle? His prepubescent daughter, who's a virgin. And they go on with the sacrifice and do it. It's not like the Abraham story where Abraham's tested and at the last second the angel stops him.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Sacrifices a human to Yahweh. This is seen as good. Yom Kippur, Leviticus 16 says that you can sacrifice goats and bulls for sins every year. By
the way, why do they make Bibles so shit nowadays? I bought a new study Bible, or Orthodox study Bible.
Actually, I'll send myself a person of myself.
It came in today.
Who's literally God. I'll put him in human form to sacrifice him to myself.
Bro, it's made so cheap, but it was expensive as fuck. Like I don't get it. Like the pages are like
coherent.
The pages are like toilet paper.
A perfect being cannot experience emotional states that imply last one or relative change. Premise 2, the Bible attributes jealousy, repentance, and wrath to Yahweh. Therefore, Yahweh is inconsistent with divine perfection.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, I've always given people this option after they get past opening statements. If you want to keep the format, get into rebuttals and then get into closings before we open it up, we can do that. Or we can open it up right now, which will give you an extra 45 minutes of open debate. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do there?
Well, he's not
Keep going.
Christian.
Back and forth.
Okay. Awesome.
He's
10
like
minutes then, Jay,
monotheist
for your rebuttal.
He's
Go
got
ahead
some
when
like
you're ready.
weird,
Just a
like
second,
monotheist religion that
Okay.
he's made up.
So
he's not
we
Christian.
heard a whole lot of list of ideas, almost like he just sort of spat out all the things that just popped into his head with little to no actual refutation or argumentation about anything in the Christian paradigm, other than perhaps going to Reddit and finding a few of the classic misunderstandings of anthropomorphic language. The argument that I gave, that he said I gave no argument, was that your worldview is incoherent at a fundamental level, such that it makes the possibility of knowledge impossible. You might not like that argument, you might not understand that argument, but that's an argument. That's an internal critique. It's a transcendental argument. He said he's an Apolloist, monist. For him, there is a hierarchical one, a monad, and that there's an emanation from this nous. The nous then produces psyche. There's these gradations. So there's an ontological diminishment in this worldview. He laid out this wild Neoplatonic story. There's this triad. The things at the bottom are less good from the things at the top, which are the highest good. And it's also more perfect. Now, obviously,
Screw every religion. You're so cool, dude. Wow, you're so cool, brother.
He claims to
you're so
want
cool
to
and
be
wise,
in line
man.
with modern science and
Religion's the
scientific
problem with the
data,
world
information,
today.
so forth, and maybe there is some reconciliation.
Those
there,
crusades,
but
they were so
if you want
bad.
to appeal to modernity, 99.9% of modern academics,
You're such a base
scientists, and all the
atheist,
people that he
man. You're
wants
so
to
cool.
perhaps
So cool and brave
appease
and
or
stunning.
be in good cahoots with, would laugh at this worldview and would not believe anything remotely close to Neoplatonism.
Yeah, he's a mono.
Neoplatonism died out in the Middle Ages, in fact, and never really made a resurgence. Now, it has nothing to do with whether it's true or false, but it's just funny to me that there's this desire to want to be rational and academic and scientific when Neoplatonism is anything but. It's one of the most speculative metaphysical disciplines in the history of Western philosophy. Now, he says that the perfection is up at the top with the one, and then there's gradations down to the triad, and then everything else that comes from the
There's an
triad.
app that has a
How
bunch
do
of
we know
different
this?
versions.
On what basis are we supposed to believe, from his worldview, from his paradigm, that there are good reasons to
I don't
believe
know.
in this impersonal monadic generation that's going on? Why would the one, if it's
I
perfect,
mean, this Orthodox Study Bible
split
seems
into
pretty
many,
good.
which
I
is
was
less
skimming through it.
his own argumentation about
like a good
perfection in
baseline.
Yahweh would apply to his own monad? That
Just the,
the
paper
monad
really
wasn't
cheap. It's
able,
kind of annoying.
it wasn't able to keep it from being many.
I
which
expect you to read
then
about it.
leads
Tell me
to
what's in it.
gradations.
No, it's not my job.
Think about
brother.
how silly it is to say that Yahweh doesn't make sense because he did this and this and this in the Old Testament, and that doesn't make sense to me. But then you turn around and say that an impersonal force or one that's aperon, beyond knowability and existence and any predication at all, just split into two. And then that just split into three. It's just arbitrary assertions from the domain of metaphysics that anyone with an empiricist worldview would laugh at. Neil doesn't know the difference between empirical sense data and empiricism as a school. So that was a huge blunder when he made the conflation between these two things. The gradations of perfections would be laughed at by any modern philosopher, for one, because after the Middle Ages, philosophies and metaphysics of perfection get questioned. They're not believed because there's a Copernican shift in philosophy after human Kant. Why? What does that mean? It means that instead of having metaphysical assumptions and assertions that you make, the question then became, well, how do we know that those assertions and metaphysical things are actually the case? For example, Hume begins to raise questions about the regulator of nature. He raises questions about knowing the external world. Wouldn't you need to know those things before you tell me about ultimate reality and metaphysical gradations and levels beyond reality? Now, in the Christian paradigm, of course, we believe that there are these other realities, but that's because we have a divine being that's outside of time and space that gives us access to that reality. I realize that you don't believe that, but I'm saying we're in a much better position to say how we would think that that's the case, given the fact that we believe in divine revelation. If God exists, he could give revelation about himself and these higher realities or whatever to created beings. But in Neil's paradigm, the one is an impersonal monad. It doesn't do anything with intentionality. So notice there's no purpose actually to our lower bodily reality, even when he says our goal is to get back to the one. How do we know that? Why? The one is an impersonal aperon, a beyond being, a being beyond being, and beyond that being. That's what the aperon, or the negated existence of the one, actually is. So Neil has a position which is purely fideistic and based on faith. He thought that he would come with rationality and reasoning, but his position is completely irrational. In fact, he doesn't even know the difference between empiricism as a school and empirical sense data. Christians do not reject empirical sense data. In fact, we believe that God created us as beings with minds and with senses to learn things about the natural world. We just simply don't accept the empiricist school, which says that all knowledge comes from sense data. So again, fundamental conflations. Thus, he made another basic mistake by saying that Aristotle was an empiricist. Certainly, Aristotle was more empirical in his methodology.
Yeah, it's kind of nonsensical, because it's like it's saying that like intuition doesn't exist.
The post-Enlightenment philosophers like David Hume.
If everything's based on sense data, then what's intuition?
Anybody
right?
from the positive,
like I intuit a lot of things, and then they don't come from
so
sense
he
data.
says that
like,
we can know these things, and we can know, for example, that there's only one dogma of a Platonist, and that is virtue. How do we know that that's the one dogma? He began his whole argumentation from the most outlandish speculations about the monad and the nous and the psyche. But then he says, but really the only thing we can know from Platonism is the virtue is to be virtue, to be virtuous. How do we know what virtue is if everything is a manifestation of the one? I understand that as a priority monist, he recognizes.
Andrew looking like a pimp tonight. I'm just saying, man.
The problem
is
is
jacket
about
on,
recognizing
the
distinctions. The problem is,
man looks
what's
like he's
the difference
chilling,
between
man.
good and evil? If all reality is fundamentally one thing, monism, and a manifestation of the one, even if there's gradations, then what is moral evil? In other words, even if Yahweh were guilty of the things that Neil says, well, in Neil's paradigm, everything is just a manifestation of the one anyway. Jeff Cy McEffrey doing all the stuff on his island, that's just a manifestation of the one. It might be a lower manifestation, but it's not an objective evil that one must oppose, because there is no objective standard of good and evil in Neil's paradigm. That's, again, another kill shot, which, again, Christianity, even if you don't like it, at least it makes sense and has a coherent basis to why there would be good and evil. There's a good God. Evil is a negation, a privation, and a moral infraction against that God's commands. So the bad parts of the Bible don't even have any sensibility in his worldview, given that there is no bad. For him, the bad is just non-being. That's the classical chain of being model that we're talking about. But that's not really bad in a moral sense. It just lacks being. Now, for the church fathers, we agree in some places that there is a sense in which evil is a negation. We don't think it has ontological existence. But we have a basis for moral evils because of a moral character that God has and tells us not to do these and that, these certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And thus we are also imprinted, being made in his image, with a moral sense of good and evil. That is, the law of God is written on our hearts in the Christian paradigm. Now, the passages that he talked about, none of those teach the necessity of human sacrifice. If you read James Jordan's book, James Jordan's famous commentary on the book of Judges.
Never mind. You guys are good. Just trying to behave in chat.
He makes a very good argument that when God tells Jephthah to give up his daughter, this is in the tradition of the Jews, just like with Samuel, of committing your firstborn child to go serve at the temple. And this is a known Jewish practice, just like why we believe that Mary was committed to, as a young person, serve at the temple. You had that ability in Judaism to give up your firstborn, or your daughter even as well, to go serve at the temple. And the reason that mattered for the kings at that time was that meant they might not have a male heir through that daughter. So it's not just human sacrifice, because remember, already we've been told in the law of Moses to not have human sacrifice. The point of the story with Abraham is that God will provide the sacrifice, not that he accepts human sacrifice. In fact, Neil misunderstood the anthropomorphic language throughout the Old Testament, and Jews, Christians, Muslims, almost everybody understands that there's anthropomorphic language that's used to give us an idea of what God is like. Doesn't mean that God literally has jealousy, right? He doesn't learn new facts because he's omniscient. But we have words that are used to help us understand this deity. And we actually believe in the theology of negation as well. We think that God's essence is unknowable. We negate what God's essence is, but God's positive cataphatic attributes are the energies that come down to us, as St. Basil says. So we believe in a both and again, for him,
you got to wrap it very quickly, Jay.
The world as it exists has no actual purpose and no actual basis to understand moral good and evil.
Thank you for that rebuttal. Appreciate it very much. Neil, your rebuttal. You have 10 minutes on the clock.
It's funny how you just admitted that you also have the same doctrine of negation to know.
Yeah, that's a Baptist church. Like, Protestantism isn't Christianity. Okay, we've been over this a billion times on stream. I don't want to get into it because like I don't want to like turn off half the audience when I start ranting about how Protestants and Catholics aren't Christians, especially now that we know that the Catholic and the Vatican Church the Vatican's involved in the Jeffrey Epstein shit. Like, I don't ever want to hear, like, I used to kind of respect Catholics. I don't respect Catholics anymore. You need to convert immediately. Your church is implicit in like the largest pedophile ring known to mankind.
1 and 3. 1 and 3 are numerically contradictory if predicated on the same thing in the same respect. Therefore, the Trinity violates the law of non-contradiction. Also, the law of identity. If A equals C and B equals C, then A equals B. Transivity and identity. The Father equals God, premise 2. Premise 3, the Son equals God. Conclusion. Therefore, the Father is the Son. That doesn't make any sense. That's a fallacy. I know you have your answers for that. And I love to get into that and have a back and forth about the Trinity. But you also mentioned in your first go around the wisdom of Solomon. And it's funny because even Orthodox scholars admit that the wisdom of Solomon dates to like 100 to 50 BC. It's a Hellenistic text drawn heavily from Platonist and Pythagorean metaphysics. It's written in Greek, first of all. It's not even written in Hebrew. So I don't know why you think that's some old text that goes back to Solomon. It doesn't. So you need to show me how you even got there. When even your own scholars will say that it's definitely Hellenistic. You don't even have your church doesn't even have a position on things like the age of the earth because it can't have a position.
What are the rules on profanity? There are no rules.
We agree with the empirical data
as long as you're just not being an asshole.
Because then your Bible is in contradiction with the empirical data. You can do the math yourself.
Use your judgment.
Do the genealogies and figure out
accordingly.
You can go from Jesus back down to Adam using any of the genealogies, and you'll end up in a world that's about 6,000 to 7,000 years old. That is nonsense, and we can do this through predictive. We could test this out and through empirical data, predictive success every time. When we dig rock layers, we always find the extinct fossils on the bottom of the layers. The farther down you go, you never find Homo sapiens at the bottom. You never find dinosaurs at the top. It's always the same layers for the same time periods every single time, 99.9%.
Well, there's an auto mod. I can't stop YouTube from censoring that.
You can't have a global flood that wipes everything out if you don't even have enough water to cover the earth. And not only that, how did the animals swim across the Atlantic Ocean around after 2000 BC, 2700 BC, whenever Noah was? So you have.
Oh God, are we gonna have a debate about dinosaurs and evolution again? Can we
you also talked about John 1, the triad, or you said that I don't believe that the Trinity exists or the triad didn't exist after the 3rd or 4th century. I never said that. I don't know why you even brought that up. I actually argue the triad is in John 1. I actually agree with you. John 1 is a retelling of Genesis. Logos represents Adam, the new Adam, and in him and aute Zoe, which is the life. There's a triad there. Logos, God, Zoe, triad. However, it's not the later triad. It's not the Trinitarian Nicene Creed triad is what I argue. So NRK and hologos, kai hologos and pros ton theon. And then it says kai theos and hologos.
Dino Duckies in the temple now.
Kai theos and hologos.
Honestly, we need a crusade.
It's a well-attested grammatically phenomenon.
Andrew's on like his fucking 8th cigarette already.
And if you switch theos with logos,
on like his 8th cigarette already.
It makes it an adjective. So actually,
In fact, I feel like this is going to be a really fucking long, nauseating debate.
I know your church would
I might
disagree,
order some food.
but I'm just going
actually.
off what the basic Greek tells me.
Give me 1 second.
That the logos
I
is
think I'm going to
divine.
order some fucking late
divine
munchies.
being,
This is going to be a
but
long
it's separate from
one.
the logos, and that's why it says
I have a feeling
logos was
this
with
guy,
God, not
this guy
was
loves
God.
huffing his own farts.
And the
so.
logos was divine. That word theos in the predicate nominative means being used as an adjective.
Let's do this so this doesn't
just basic Greek. No, it's not basic
up.
Greek. It's pretty advanced actually, but that's what the best Greek scholars would agree with me. Logos, you say like it doesn't have meaning, that it bounces around from person to person, but that's because the word logos has multifaceted, multi-purposes. The word logos can mean reason, it can mean logic, it can mean word, it could mean letters, it could mean a lot of different things. So people use the word logos in different ways, but ultimately the logos that we're talking about is the function of the creative reason in the cosmos. It's the nous. It's the brightest emanation.
It's the anus
from the one. And I would argue that Christian theology is borrowing from our worldview with the logos to construct John's logos with the logos.
Right.
And so also you said Neoplatonism died in the Middle Ages. Well, Werner Heisenberg was a Platonist. Iris Murdoch was a Platonist. Thomas Taylor was a Platonist. That's modern. That's all the way to the 20th century, 21st century, almost 21st century. There's Platonists today. Actually, I just met someone. I was in Athens, Platonic Academy. So I don't know how you just thought that. Gemistus Plethon was debating Orthodox Palamites in Constantinople in the 1450s.
What's up,
He was a Platonist. What do you mean they died out in the Middle Ages? That's just wrong.
You should tote correct it live when I publish.
A straight line from today to Plato. And the reason you might say, well, where do they all go? How come they all just first of all, they got kicked out by Justinian. But second of all, we don't want massive people. We want elites. We want people who can think with reason. It's true. We're not trying to go out and convert people to Platonism. That's what you do. Because that's what it is. It's a corporation. It's a religion. And so
this guy's an idiot.
What else was I going to say?
What's up, Sky?
So how much time I got left?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what
right
exactly?
now it looks like you still have almost 2 minutes.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, just said, over 2 minutes.
Okay, you said I don't account for things like the one and the many, because the one is just everything's just descending from the one. But I already explained the emanations solve this, and it's a metaphysical argument that I'm making. The solution to the one and the many preserves real unity and plurality without collapsing. In my monism, the many emanates from the one without being separate from it. So emanation preserves ontological unity while allowing real structured plurality. Therefore, the monism that I'm arguing preserves both unity and plurality. Now, the Trinity, you're just saying it does because you have three heads in one God, but that's still one thing. You're still talking about one thing which has properties. So how can one thing that has properties and needs sacrifices and gives scripture
where does God need sacrifices? Like, what are you talking about?
7 AD. Matthew says 4 BC when Herod died. Luke's census happened in 7 AD when Quirinius was governor. So this is what we're dealing with? All just contradictions and contradictions. But the Trinity does not even account for this. It's one being. One can't equal three. I'd like to hear you argue how one can be three at the same time, when my emanations actually solves this.
All right. We've got about pretty close to 8,000 live viewers this fine evening. Appreciate that from everybody. We're going to move into the debaters' closings and the hour one section, and then we're going to move into open debate. Jay Dyer, you have 10 minutes on the clock for your closing. Go ahead when you're ready.
Right. So again, I think this is kind of funny because half of what I said, he didn't even understand. First of all, negation in my view and using negation doesn't mean that I have the same view of you, right? Or as you. So the fact, yeah, you did. You said that, well, I have negation too. Yeah, but you don't have the idea of positive, energetic presence in this world of the one. You have the emanations that are not the one, but they supposedly reflect or are in some way perhaps participatory in the one. How do we know that? And why should we think that? If the one is perfect, then why would we think that something that is not the one and is imperfect somehow reflects or participates in the one. I don't think you even thought about the very classic refutations of Platonism and Neoplatonism that have been around for centuries and millennia. People have been critiquing these positions. What I said was that 99% of today's academics and scientists laugh at Neoplatonism. I cited Werner Heisenberg about Neoplatonic ideas in my book 10 years ago. I'm well aware of what he said about fundamental reality bearing and showing geometric structure. And I think that's interesting. And I cite Paul Davies' book, Mind of God, all the time, where you have people like Roger Penrose, who's a modern mathematician.
Please don't.
Those are mathematicians and physicists who speculate and believe in something that makes sense with a Christian paradigm, that fundamental reality is ordered and structured. But this reality is way less perfect than the higher reality that you talk about. In fact, again, why ought we think that there's any similarity between the perfect monadic unity reality and the imperfect multiplicity becoming flux reality that we live in? It's almost like you're not even aware of the basic critique of Platonism. How does the realm of the forms and the perfect idea up there relate to the imperfect, tainted, destructive chaos realm down here? Because they have oppositional characteristics. Now, you can say and assert that they have a similarity and they share in each other, but you don't have an argument for that other than to keep asserting that it is so.
So
you seem to think
this
that
guy,
laying out
this guy's beliefs are so weird. So his name is Gnostic Informant, but he believes in monism, but then he's also a Platonist. Like, does he even know what he's just everything. His whole opening was like, it was like just a regurgitation of like 16 different philosophies. Like, I don't even know what the fuck, like, I don't even know what the fuck he believes. He's all over the place.
How do we know? That's the thing in question. These are classic critiques of Platonism. You say that 3 and 1 cannot, there's not a thing that can be 3 and 1 at the same time. Really? You ever seen this? This is a basic number. Is this 1 or is it 3? Oh, it's both at the same time. Is it more a single number or more 3? It's both. So even objects in this world, as we've argued countless times against the Muslims,
a documentary on YouTube that talks about
and many at the same time.
Yahweh being some like wind devil, and that God in the Old Testament is some like some wind hurricane wind devil
at the same time,
wind god or some shit.
Because
I feel like he watched that. I feel like he regurgitated half of that documentary in the opening. I remember watching it and I was like, he's just literally regurgitating this fucking documentary I remember seeing
about. The logical problem of the Trinity is something that we've also dealt with many times when it comes to Muslims, and the whole argument trades on the word God only having one referent. But Neil seems to be really adept at word concept fallacies by thinking that a word always has a single same referent. In fact, when I brought up the many different uses of logos throughout the ancient Greek philosophers, my point, and you backed that up, was to say, yes, correct, they all say these different things. And then you said, but my position is the right one. How do we know that? What is the justification for choosing the Neoplatonic idea? Or if we're going to be a Neoplatonist, for example, you have Iamblichus, who's a ritual magic Neoplatonist, and then you have Plotinus, who's a sit around and speculate and think your way back to the one Neoplatonist. Which one is the real Neoplatonism? Which one is the Neoplatonism? It's the one that you've made up. And that's the thing, is that there's no justification for Neil's Platonism, which is his own made up Neoplatonism. Now, counting by identity versus counting by division is what the early church fathers and even many in the ancient world used to distinguish different ways of counting different types of things. So the divine essence, for example, is counted by dividing. That's why the Nicene Creed says one and undivided. That's counting by division. And many ancient Greek philosophers also counted this way. Counting by identity is a different way of counting, and certain types of things that you can't think of as having any partitions, you count by identity. For example, logical sets or laws of logic, right? So for example, the law of non-contradiction, there's no half of a law of non-contradiction, right? So it's an abstract object that you have to count by identity. Thus you can't count by division. And throughout the history of the world, people have counted different things in different ways. Even in the Middle Ages, they began to recognize in medieval grammar text and mathematical texts how to count different things in different ways. So they had this distinction by first order imposition and second order imposition, even in the Middle Ages when it came to counting. So that's nothing new. But what you're saying with the logical problem of the Trinity is, again, something that we've elucidated in all the Muslim debates when it comes up many, many times over, is just conflating two different ways of counting. And the funny thing about that is that in the case of Muslims, they also counted in various ways in the ancient world. They counted by division, for example, in Al-Ghazali. Many ancient Greek philosophers, who I'm sure you actually would like, also counted by division and counted other things in other ways by identity. So if you understand that, that really sort of dissolves the whole issue with counting and the logical problem of the Trinity, and also the fact that the word God doesn't have a single referent in divine revelation. God can refer to God himself in terms of divine persons. It can refer to the divine nature. It can refer to divine operations or attributes. It can refer to human.
Yep.
And it can refer to angels and demons throughout the text of Scripture. When I said the wisdom of Solomon, I didn't just mean the deuterocanonical text, which, again, apparently you're not aware of this, but there's a bunch of other texts called Proverbs that are dated to the time, loosely, you could say, even if you take the liberal dating of Solomon. So guess what?
Yeah, Proverbs are old.
7,
Proverbs are like
8,
the oldest,
9,
yeah.
Those talk about the wisdom text. So you didn't
Yep.
even know that Hebrew wisdom text is not summed up in the wisdom of Sirach. If you date that to the 2nd century BC, I'm talking about the totality of wisdom texts, whether it's Sirach, whether it's the wisdom of Solomon, or whether it's Proverbs. They consistently
Who are you
refer
shaking your
to
head at, buddy?
wisdom
Relax.
as a personified character, as a personified person. For example, Proverbs 7 and 8, at the beginning of the creation, participating in the creation of the world. That's why John 1 is using that same terminology. Now, you claim that that basic Greek shows you that John 1 should be interpreted in your way. Do you actually know Greek?
Mhm.
And then you said the best Greek scholars say this. Okay, I'd be interested to hear some of your Greek scholars and
Sure.
Yeah,
what
what
Greek
scholars
scholars
you
are the best
talking
Greek
about?
scholars.
Are you
that say
talking about
this,
like
because you gave the impression
one
first, like
scholar?
you know the Greek. I'm skeptical. Maybe you do. Maybe you are a Greek scholar.
Whenever anybody says, "Oh well, scholars, all the best scholars agree on this," they end up having like one reference, and then half the time that reference isn't even credible. So this should be interesting.
One that's the right one out of all these ancient texts, and their many uses, the variations of the use of logos. That's the one. Okay, how do we know, Neil?
He looks
What is
agitated
the
because he's a
epistemic
midwit. Midwits
justification?
don't
You
like
said
being talked
there's all
down
these
to.
arguments, but
That's just a
you
midwit
said
trait.
the one in the many.
It's not
Okay,
that he's
but the one in the
dumb.
many
It's that
is
he's
a
like
problem in your
he's in
position,
between
because
being
why are there many
stupid
at all?
and really smart.
Why would we think
so?
that
He thinks he's
imperfect
smarter
things
than he is, and he
reflect
lacks the wisdom to
perfection
understand how
of
dumb
the
he actually
apparent
is.
and the beyond?
Okay. That's it.
Jay, are you yielding your time? You still got a couple
Oh, I
minutes
got
left
more.
if you want to take.
How
Yeah, if
many?
you want to take it, you still have looks like almost 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll keep going.
Go ahead.
So again, let's go back to what we what we wanted to stress.
I
when
like
it, was
Proverbs.
an issue with the original. I think this were things I didn't get to in the original rebuttal. So again, what I think Neil's not understanding is that modern science, modern academia, for the most part, I said 99.9%, are not Neoplatonists. It doesn't mean there aren't.
The thing
some
is
outliers,
Proverbs
but
is probably the
majority of
oldest thing
academia
in
who
the
are
text.
empiricists,
And like
for the most part,
it's still
meaning that we can't really go beyond
Proverbs still
sense
gives you
data.
life advice that still
You've got
applies
two
today.
different conflicting
I mean, it teaches you how
situations in your
to
world,
be
Neil.
financially
On the one hand,
sound.
you
It
want
teaches
this
you,
mystical
about hard
theology
work.
That's gradations of reality.
I mean,
from
Proverbs are just
one.
good shit.
And then you've got this other desire to fit into modern academia and be scientific. Well, modern scientific empiricism or positivism or whatever you want to call it
Teaches you how
has nothing
to
to
engage
do
with
and
men
would
and
totally
women,
reject
how to be
all
a
of your
good
first
husband, how to be a
presentation.
good
Now, maybe
wife.
you've got some way you think you can reconcile it, but I'm just curious, like, how are you going to get from empirical sense data, because you said that's what you want to be rooted in and grounded in and do science? How does science tell you about the monad that's beyond experience? How does science tell you about the nous and psyche underneath that? Where does science or the scientific method tell you that there's gradations of reality from the one and that the one is more perfect? So these are all assertions.
Proverbs even
metaphysical
warns against
assertions.
alcohol consumption
And I think you meant Plethon.
and
You
how it can make
mispronounced
you
it.
violent.
Plethon was an
Never
atheist
ends well.
Platonist in Byzantium. Yeah, one guy in the Middle Ages. So what? That's again against the point that the majority
Proverbs
of
is
people today
good.
are not
Proverbs
that.
is probably
and
my
it
my
actually
favorite
proves
part
my
of,
argument
of the Bible.
by you saying that there was this guy in Byzantium.
Like it's crazy
Plethon.
how old
Yeah, one
Proverbs
guy in
is, and
Plethon.
like it all
So
still
died
applies
out.
today.
Or one guy in Byzantium, so it died out. Now, if you read Sinisioglu's book on Plethon, which came out a couple of years ago, I've got it right over here. He argues that the tradition of atheistic Platonism, went on into Spinoza and into the Jacobins and other philosophers of the Renaissance. So I want to know again, Neil, we've got to understand, we got to hear some kind of reason as to why we ought to believe this mystical Neoplatonism. All I heard was, well, it does this, and here's problems in the Bible. Okay, fine. What is the good argument to know from empirical data and sense?
Yeah, Proverbs are just like straight out, just
that all of these metaphysical
little tidbits of just.
All right, we gotta leave it there.
Just
Try
truth,
not to,
really.
To interrupt the last portion there. Neil, you have 10 minutes on the clock for your closing statement before we open up the floor for an open debate. Go ahead when you're ready.
I didn't actually pronounce his name wrong. It's Plathon in Greek. It's Plethon and maybe
he who joins hands
English,
with the unrighteous,
anglicized version.
right,
I'm just,
will not go
did the same thing
unpunished.
when I talked to you.
You
a
see
while
it
ago.
play out all
When I
the
said
time.
Duad. You said dyad.
Hopefully that applies to the
Duad is the
Epstein
word
files.
that people use.
Let's
It's a Greek
pray.
word. We
Let's
even
pray the
anglicized
Epstein
it as
files.
duad in philosophy. So I'm surprised
fall into that
some of the
proverb.
masters of philosophy didn't know that.
Do you speak Greek?
Yeah, I do. I don't speak Greek.
Hang on, and Jay, you can't
Okay.
interrupt his closing. Go ahead, Neil.
I'm a student of Greek, so no more than you do. Anyways, so yeah, well, now to go back to when you picked up a book with the number 3 on it and said, "Is this 1 and 3 at the same time?" It's one book with with the number 3 on it. Doesn't mean anything. You didn't show me anything. You didn't demonstrate that something could be 1 and 3 at the same time. You just picked up a book with the number 3 on it, and that all that is to me is that's a book. That's one book with a number 3 on it. That was like mind blowing when I saw that. That was hilarious.
Well, that's because you're retarded and don't understand.
But yeah, you want to know why? Why should I
I'm gonna
believe your worldview?
see you later,
why should
Mouse.
I care? Well, first of all, I never said that I'm trying to get modern science to be grounded in all these. I want everyone to be a Platonist.
Yeah,
and all
Proverbs is
believe in my
definitely
stuff.
foundational
These are
wisdom.
metaphysical arguments. These are metaphysical arguments that account for things, just as you're doing. The difference is my worldview allows for things like empirical data and we have the predictive success on our side, where you are bogged down by dogmas that get you to have to believe the earth is 6,000 years old, or that evolution is false, and you just flat out just deny in your face physical evidence of transitional fossils, where I don't have to do that. So I don't care if 99.9% of empiricists are
his entire
atheists.
argument's going to
Great.
boil
I don't
down
care if
to
they're atheists. It
evolution
means
and
nothing to
dinosaur
me.
bones.
Doesn't bother
We're
me
going to
one
have
bit.
an hour-long debate
What we're
about
doing
dinosaur
in
bones and
philosophy
evolution again.
and Platonism is totally different.
For like the
thing.
3,000th
We're
time.
We're doing
This is great.
metaphysical arguments and trying to account for the world and
By the way,
ethics.
the literally the top most accredited scientist in the world when it comes to evolution and biology literally doesn't think evolution is real. And he studies it for his entire life, and he's the top scientist in the field, and even he says he doesn't think it's real.
About anthropomorphic stuff, like, yeah, okay, maybe you can get away with saying God being jealous is anthropomorphic and he wasn't really jealous, but that's just how it's reflected in the story. But you still have an answer. Why does God need sacrifices? Why does God need to send himself to save the world from himself? That's not an omniscient God. That's not an all-powerful God that needs to do all these things. So a perfect and omniscient being doesn't regret prior actions. Yahweh regrets making the
It
earth.
is said
In
the
Genesis
Jews made
6,
down
he
of bones.
says,
It's
"I,
true.
Yahweh,
It's true, guys.
regretted
It's true.
that I have made the earth." So Yahweh can't be a
Like, guys, did you know there's no mummies in the pyramids? You know there's no mummies in the pyramids, right? You know all the dinosaur bones in the museums aren't actually dinosaur bones, right?
your monad. Well, I don't have to believe in yours because you're giving me things that I can just cancel out just because of the fallacies. An all perfect being does not need anything. Can't be jealous, can't not know things, can't lose battles. In the book of Judges, I have my notes here. Yahweh goes up against the Midianites, and it says that the spirit of Yahweh was with the Judahites, but the Judahites couldn't defeat the Midianites because they had iron chariots. The Spirit of God was with the Judahites. This is what it says. How else do you exegete that? Do I have to be an Orthodox priest to exegete that? No. I can use my own reasoning and say that is not a perfect God. That is a God that
Jay
is
is
flawed.
not having a good time.
This is a God that dashes little children against rocks and is boasting about it in the Psalms. And let's talk about you brought up the dating of the text, and I was talking about Wisdom of Solomon in particular, which is clearly Hellenistic. It's written in Greek, first of all. Game over. We don't even have a Hebrew version. It's a Greek text. And you said I'm talking about the whole corpus of Solomon. Well, let's talk about the whole corpus of Solomon then. None of it. There's no evidence for any of it going back before like 400 at the latest. And I can tell you how I know this. When Israel was conquered by the Assyrians in 586 BCE, a bunch of thousands of Jews fled down to Elephantine.
I don't know if I'm going to get to it tonight,
all the rest
buddy.
of them went to Babylon in captivity.
This is going to be like a multi-hour debate.
Elephantine, and they set up a temple of Yahweh there. And they called themselves Judaios in Greek, Yehudim in Hebrew. And they wrote Aramaic texts, and we have hundreds of them. So we have a perfect time capsule. From 586 to 400 is when they left and went back to Jerusalem. That's 186 years. So this is after the first temple period. Well, guess what you find there? You don't find anything about the Torah. There's not a single mention of Abraham, not a single mention of Moses, not a single mention of Jacob, not a single mention of the 12 tribes, not a single mention of Moses, no Noah, no Adam and Eve, nothing, no Torah, nothing. They get a letter in the year 410, I think it is, from Jerusalem. They get a letter sent to them. We had the letter. We found it. We dug it up. And it's telling them for the first time how to do a Passover. We were starting this new thing called Passover. This is in 410 BCE. This new thing called Passover. And we celebrated on Nisan 14. Well, it's every year it's on Nisan 14. That's like me telling you to celebrate Christmas on December 25th. It's all you should already know that. So these are the Old Testament that you think goes back to Moses and Solomon. That's nonsense. Prove it. There's not a single piece of evidence for the Exodus anywhere. There's no mention of Moses in any Egyptian sources. Joseph in the Old Testament was the vizier of the entire Egyptian kingdom, the second highest, most powerful person in the entire Egyptian kingdom. Well, guess what we have from Egypt? Even to this day, we have all the records of all the pharaohs and their viziers. None of them mention any Joseph. We don't know. Joseph doesn't exist. He's made up. In fact, the name Yosef probably is some sort of derivative from Osiris. Some scholars point out some sort of euhemerization of Osiris, how he descends into the underworld, into the dungeon, and it rises up and becomes the second most high next to Amen. So there's a lot of things we could see what's going on in the Old Testament text, like the story of the flood with Noah, where he lets off a raven and a dove, and the raven and the dove come back 7 days later to tell him he's on land. Well, sure enough, we got Sumerian and Akkadian tablets that predate the Bible by 2,000 years about the Epic of Gilgamesh, and there's another source I'm thinking of, the mind slipping right, the name of it slipping my mind right now, but it has this exact same story where what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's on the ark, and he's got all the animals, 2 of each animal, same story, and he lets off a dove and a raven that come back 7 days later. But it's not Noah. That sucks. It's not Jewish. This is Akkadian. This is just borrowing other stories and then personalizing it. And how do we know that? I just assert that they do this right here. You see those yellow and black texts that I'm pointing to? Those are called pseudepigrapha. You should read them. They're false writings.
Yeah, I have them right
here. They're false writings. They're fake text, writing in the names of other people. And this is like this Christians pick up on this. Pseudo-Dionysius, 5th century AD. He's not a 1st century writer. He's a 5th century writer adopting Neoplatonism. So when I see these things, pseudo-text, no evidence, my reasoning tells me this is not the true religion. This is not the true worldview. So I have a more simple worldview that accounts for things, and that's why I go with Neoplatonism.
Gentlemen, we just got a major raid in, which I really appreciate. We're at almost 8,000 live between all platforms.
Nice.
Just about 8,000 live on YouTube at the moment.
much do you
Appreciate
usually
very
get?
much
Is that
for
what-
the
is that what you usually
raid.
get?
Yeah, I do pretty well.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate it very much. I don't know who rated me. Maybe a mod can let me know so that we can think.
Do you
I
mind
know
if I
that
grab a
there-
water real quick?
Yeah, you can grab a water. We're going to take a brief intermission for 2 minutes, guys, before we get to the open debate. If you want to grab anything else, you're welcome to. Bathroom break, whatever it is that you guys want to do. Appreciate the raid. Oh, was it Timcast? Thank you, Timcast. Appreciate it. Real quick call to action. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And also send in your super chats. You don't want all that evil money in your wallet anyway. It's uncomfortable. You can send it in to me. Instead, I always think that that's a much better gig. All your super chats going to get read. Moving
Well, you don't have
into
to pretend like the
third
debate's
hour
interesting
of the
to you.
debate. We're moving into the second
okay.
now. We're also going to be taking on callers.
You guys will all be
so
gone
mods
in
will
like the
be
next 10
this
minutes anyway.
hour putting in the links. So that
Go
you can
watch
come into
go
Discord,
watch
get
Link's
vetted,
stream, guys.
so that you can
She's
call
all more
in the
entertaining.
third hour to ask your questions directly to the debaters. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open the floor up for this debate between Jay.
But even if you're not religious, I highly recommend you read Proverbs. Maybe get like a online app that can explain them to you better. I think even if you're not religious, you don't believe in Christ, it's fine. I think Proverbs definitely has a lot of wisdom in it for anybody, right? A lot of answers to life problems that you might have. All right.
Just
Okay.
open floor.
Open floor.
So,
Let's go.
I'll
Time to
just start
argue.
with Neil. I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about the numeral 3.
Mhm.
Is the numeral one thing or is it 3?
Well, it's one number, so it's the number 3.
So it's 1 and 3.
But it's the number 3, but it's one thing.
Yeah. So is that 3 things and one thing?
It's not 3 things. It's one thing.
The number 3 is not 3.
The number 3 can count. You can count 3 things using the
So
number 3.
This is 3 and
Yeah, the thing is like people like this, they just assume a lot of things that are correct, and they're not correct, right? History is proven wrong a lot. Scientists is proven wrong a lot. That's literally science, right? Science can never be an absolute truth because that's antithetical to science and what science actually is, right? And then if we're getting into Egyptian history, it's they don't know shit. They just make it up. Like I said, the amount of people that actually believe that mummies were inside the pyramids, the people like they've gaslit like a whole they've gaslit multiple generations of people to believe that the pyramids are tombs. They're not tombs. They never were tombs. There's literally no mummies inside of the pyramids. They're that's not what they are. They've never been that.
What?
So, like I said, it's like, oh, believe the experts. Well, the experts also have paid incentives to lie. Like, I mean, I don't know.
higher than it also. Then 1 is also a signifier.
So you're just saying 1 is 3. Great. Gets me nowhere.
Is Skybrowse trying to pursue the links? I don't think so, bro. It's a joke, right? Skybrowse is a grown ass man. He makes lots of money, has a very nice job. He's a grown man. I don't think he's trying to actually hook up with some random VTuber, guys. Like, it was a joke.
That's a 1 and a 2.
You guys take things too
this.
seriously sometimes.
2.
Okay. So is this one object itself, the symbol itself?
The symbol is 2.
Thank
Okay.
you.
But
Thank
that's
you.
not. But you can't say that this book is now 2 things now.
But one is also a symbol.
I know, but the book
So
is
it's
still
a
one
you already
thing.
admitted it's a both and, Neil.
No, you asked me what the symbol means. That was you slipped that in there at the end.
Signifier. They're signifying
Nice try.
one.
It didn't work.
This is one object that's a signifier of 2 things.
Right, but you're still holding one thing in your hand.
I'm talking
So-
about the numbers, Neil. Not
I know
the,
the
book.
number means 2. I get that. But
Okay,
the
but
thing
is
in your
the-
hand was still one
Neil,
thing.
this is fundamentally stupid. The number
It is
itself, the
fundamentally stupid.
numeral,
You're
the
right. It
symbol.
is so fundamentally stupid.
Okay, so this. What is this?
That's the Roman numeral 2.
And what is this?
2.
Right. So
Okay.
they both refer to what?
Those numbers, those symbols mean 2.
Right.
2
Is
what?
this one thing as a whole?
The number
Is this
is
one
2.
thing?
The number
Is
means
this
2.
one thing on the page right here?
It is one thing on the page, yes.
Thank you. So it's
One
one
symbol.
in many. You just admitted it.
But it's still one thing.
Are you fundamentally stupid? You just
I'm
said
asking
it's
you.
also
You can say
and
one
many.
thing is. You can put a number 2 on
Neil,
my head and say I'm 2
one
things
and
now.
many is the point of this, that something can be singular and also many at the same time. For example, take an object like a
incoherent.
book. Neil, is a book, does it have many parts?
Yes,
Okay, is it also one book?
it's one book.
Thank you. So it's one and many. So objects can be one and many at the
But
same
it's
time.
still one
Answering
book.
your question.
Yes, but that now you have a problem. Now
But
you have one entity with 3 parts. How do you make it 3 distinct things? but
Neil,
it's
you
still one
argued
entity?
that something can't be one
Oh
and
my
many at the same
god,
time.
dude, you're so stupid.
I can have different parts. I didn't say that. I said one can have different parts. I didn't say one can be many at the same time. That's why
No,
the
you said
emanations is a
something-
better account for
You
the
said
emanations accounts better.
I'll say exactly what you said. Something cannot be one and many at the same time in the
It can
same way.
have many parts, is what I said.
No, you said, quote, something cannot be one and many at the same time in the same way.
Exactly.
I wrote down the quote.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I've never stopped
Is
saying
this
that.
book one thing and many things at the
It's
same
one
time?
thing with many parts.
Mhm.
That's
So
different.
it's one and many?
It's one thing with many parts. It's different.
So is
How
it
is that
one
different?
and many at the same time?
It's one book with many parts. That's
so
how you
it's one
describe
and
it.
many.
It's one and many. Yeah, it's one in many parts.
Thank
That's-
you. That's so you
That
refuted
was
your
that
original.
was
You
cheap,
admitted
dude.
your
That
previous
was
thing is
cheap.
false.
Anyone
just-
watching
you
this
just
with a
kinda owned it.
normal IQ
How is that-
understands what just
So
happened.
now you're going into ad hominem because
Oh,
you
you're
got
right.
owned
All
on
right.
something
Maybe I'll lay off the
fundamental.
ad homs then. Okay. Is there any more questions you got?
Sure.
I want to know what the Trinity. I want to know how the Trinity. You're saying the Trinity could be 1 and 3 at the same time. Fine, we can move past that. I think it's nonsense.
Yeah, but you already admitted the contradiction, so you can think it's nonsense, but you
I
can't.
never
explain
admitted
why.
the contradiction. I'm talking about
Well,
parts.
you just
versus, talking about parts versus
You
one.
just contradict yourself like 10 times.
Oh, you think I did?
You said the
You
parts
want
are
people
many.
to think I did.
Is
You
it
want
one
people
and
to
many?
think I did. It's one thing with many parts.
So it's one and many.
So it's one thing with many
And
parts.
many. Thank you. So again, you're repeating yourself over and over.
You're getting you want me to say that? Then sure. You want me to be incoherent? Because I'm not going to do it.
Do I want you to be incoherent?
Yeah, is it one and
You're
many?
doing
No,
it-
it's not
you're
one and
doing it on
many.
your own,
It's
bro.
one thing with
Like,
many
what?
parts. Am I many things at once?
Yeah,
Am
you
I
have many
Neil
parts.
Something else? Yeah, I have many parts. Exactly. I have a hand. I have an eyeball. But it's all Neil. I have different cells
So,
that don't
so
even
it's one and many. Thank you. You're just making
one
my
and
case.
many parts. Why can't you
The
agree
fact that you
that's
add
what it
parts
is?
doesn't matter, Neil, because it's
Yes,
one.
it
and many.
does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Parts
If
is
you
what
admit
means
that it's many, it doesn't matter. Obviously, many would be parts. That's contained in the idea of many.
but that's all I'm agreeing to is that it's one thing still with
So it's
different
one
parts
and
within it.
many, regardless of part. Parts is contained in the idea of many.
Yeah, but many is the parts. It's not many different things. It's not different things
wait.
altogether.
The parts aren't different things.
The parts are different parts.
You said they're not different things.
The parts are different parts.
You said they're not different things.
Well, they're not. That's my hand is still Neil's hand. It's part of me.
Okay, but it's not a different thing from your
It's not
arm?
your hand. It's not. It's not
You
Andrew's
said it's
hand.
not different things.
Can
Neil.
it be Neil's? Can my hand be your
Is it a
hand?
different
No.
thing from your leg?
Yes,
So it is different things. Which again, you're contradicting every
it's a
few
different part.
sentences.
I keep saying it's a different part.
You said
Anyways.
they're not different things.
I said it's a different part.
You
said
said
it
they are not different
20,000
things.
times
You literally
already.
just said that.
I said one thing has many parts within it. Everything has many parts within
And then you said they're not different things.
it. Okay, let's do something more basic.
Well, are they different things or not?
Is this one thing or many things?
It's both.
Really? Where is it?
What do
What's
you
the
mean?
difference? What else? What is it? What's so different about it? What else is there?
What? I
It's
mean,
one thing.
it has a surface and it has a cap.
Oh,
or-
okay.
or a
So it has
ball.
different parts. Exactly.
Yeah, but Neil, you said different parts are not different things.
Well, if you want to describe parts as things, then I would have to is 6,000 years old, and we have empirical data that contradicts that, that's a problem for you. How do you? What do you do? You just deny?
Oh fuck! I forgot.
empirical data?
I forgot. I muted myself and I was going on a rant. Dude, how does he not get it? Like the chat, you guys all understand, right? Right? You guys all understand, right? This is like basics. This is like 12-year-olds understand this, right? Like we are one being. Like I'm one being, and I'm made up of many things, right? I'm made up of atoms, molecules. And those expand infinitely down. They don't even know how far. Like they can't even measure the smallest like atom, like how far it actually goes. It's essentially infinite. You are a part of infinite. Like you are infinity. Like we are infinite things melded into one being. Like how does he not understand this? He's literally just refusing to admit it because he just doesn't want to lose. Like it's so annoying.
Tween.
The thing is Jay will explain it to. We will sit here for an hour, and Jay will keep hampering on this because that's how Jay debates. He doesn't let anything slide. He doesn't concede anything. That's just how he debates. So he will sit here and debate this idiot for literally 2 hours about many things being one thing, right? This is not a hard concept. I just don't know.
So you're gonna throw out 99.9% predictive
It's
success.
not a hard concept to understand. I don't know why he doesn't get it.
I'm not a paleontologist, and
Sure.
the fact that you understand that just because there's predictive success doesn't mean that your model's correct. You can have multiple models that have predictive success. This is called the underdetermination of data.
I agree with that. I actually agree with that.
Okay, so then what you're arguing doesn't tell us which paradigm is correct. So beyond that, like I can say that I have a different authority in terms of what I consider the ancient world to have existed and been like. You have another authority, and I don't reject, quote, science, but again, I'm making a different point about when you see the rock layers or when you see the strata, there's nothing about that immediately tells you a time frame or an age. So how do you know today?
Fair, but let me ask you this. When you find contradictory data, for example, when we go to places like Elephantine, and they're doing the opposite. They're making graven images. They're polytheist. They are not.
Now you're going to something different.
I know. I'm saying for let's not talk about just looking at rocks. I'm talking about evidence that goes against the biblical narrative. For example, when we go in places that say that where there's Jews living after the first temple period, and we look at all their writings, and that has nothing to do with what the Bible said they were like. They're completely different. They're doing the opposite. They're eating pork. They're doing stuff on Sabbath. They are worshiping multiple gods with Yahweh.
That's like saying the Essenes disproves Judaism because the Essenes did something totally different than the Jews.
What are the Essenes doing that goes against the biblical narrative? I'm not talking about.
Well, they had a
different sects.
Listen to me. They had a Jewish Gnostic perspective. They believed that they were the sons of light, and they had certain ascetic practices that the Torah doesn't teach. So my argument is,
but the Essenes have the Torah. The Essenes had the Torah. Okay, go ahead.
It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that the fact that there's a sect somewhere that's doing things different in no way leads you to the conclusion that the Jews with the Torah or the Jews in Israel are doing that they don't exist or that they're not there. It's an argument from silence.
It's not an argument from silence. It's actually the evidence is the opposite of the historical claims from the Bible. There's evidence that
how directly, do you know that the Jews didn't exist prior to this sect? Wouldn't the Jews
I didn't say they didn't exist.
Okay,
I said there's no evidence that they were Torah observant. There's no evidence that they even knew what the Torah was. In fact, the things that they're doing in their text and in the archaeology shows the exact opposite that they weren't.
I got you. Okay, so and this is what century you're saying?
Are you talking about Elephantine? 586 to 400 BC.
Okay.
6th century to 5th century.
And what main scholars have this opinion? Because I'm going to show you scholars who said the opposite of that. Where are you getting this?
Well, okay, I can go to Gad Barnea. I can go to Jonathan Adler, Russell Merkin, Thomas L. Thomas, Philip R. Davies. I could go to let's see. I could go to Bruce Loudon. I can keep going on and on and on about this.
Okay. So everybody note these scholars because we have no idea who.
Write those down, please. Everyone, write those down. Bruce Loudon, Thomas L. Thomas, Philip Davies, Russell Merkin.
Hang on. Let Jay respond
Jonathan
here.
Adler, just so people know.
Let him respond.
So now when we go to, for example, the again, just using this as an example text, which refutes also this claim and the other claim, or at least it shows contrary scholarly evidence. So again, Oxford opinion to the Bible. The book of Proverbs deals with the prophetic tradition, the writings, different from the prophetic tradition, the writings of this wisdom literature. It consists in parts of sayings, short pithy forms, etc. The Hebrew word is translated to mean comparisons, and then it goes on to say that many of these texts date to the 5th century BCE, but also many of them are actually even earlier to the pre-monarchic position. So you said earlier that there's no older evidence for this period for the book of Proverbs.
Yeah,
I mean, mainline.
Guys, it's a debate. You are supposed to win. That's the point. This is not like an open dialogue. Like, just, it's not like two bros having a casual conversation. It's two people arguing a worldview, and one of them has to be correct. You can't have multiple worldviews that are correct. It's not, that doesn't work. That's nonsensical. There has to be one actual truth, right? You would agree? There's one actual truth. So it's about debating ideas and boiling them down to their essence to find out which one is actually true. So yes, the goal of a debate is to win the debate by logically, basically proving that your worldview is correct. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So going into a debate to score points is correct. That's what you're supposed to do.
None of them cite Proverbs. None of the texts from that period cite Proverbs. No one mentions Proverbs. The first person to
that's an argument from silence that scholars are saying that the book of Proverbs.
Scholars are making linguistic arguments on this.
No, they're not just making linguistic arguments. They're also making archaeological arguments.
There's no archaeological data to show that Solomon was right. There's no Solomon text in archaeology. I'm telling you that there's nothing there.
Well, you're saying an argument from silence. You're saying these things, but what I'm showing you is that there's competing scholarly claims. How do we know what's true between these?
I would say what you're reading is probably outdated scholarship. When is that dated to? What year? What is that book from? What year is that book from?
How do you know?
What year?
What counts as outdated?
Because the most up-to-date, most rigorous academics are all agreeing that we don't have any evidence of the Bible. Now, there might have been some layers of Solomon that do go back that far.
What counts as outdated?
I don't know, 20 years ago.
So whatever book I cite, right?
No, it's 20 years probably. It's been 20 years.
And how do you still don't see how arbitrary this is?
No, it could still be correct, but I'm telling you, there's no evidence.
Well, I know you're telling me that, but you're not actually proving.
No, I disagree. You literally don't understand what debate is. So
when a scholar said something,
when I give you counter scholars, we're in a dilemma.
The minutia of debating matters. Him going back and forth for him for 20 minutes arguing about how many things can be one thing, you might not think is important, and it might annoy the fuck out of you, but it's extremely important, okay? Because like he's pointing out a logical fallacy, right? So therefore his claim is not valid, right? You have to do these things. You have to basically, like, it's all about engaging to find the truth. Like, it's not supposed to be fun and entertaining. I know you guys are used to like watching Destiny debate, and he gets really loud and he fucking spazzes out, but like that's not debating. Like, this is debating. You argue. It's all about arguing the semantics, right?
Manuscript of the Bible before the Dead Sea Scrolls.
You just keep asserting this. How do you know that assertion's true?
Because we don't have them.
Well, that's the point. These people don't know what these people just regurgitate what other people tell them. They never actually think about it.
It doesn't exist.
Neil, I know you're saying that.
There's no physical copy of it.
Neil,
hang on. Let's see if we can untangle this. Okay, just a little bit here. All right. We'll start with Neil. Neil, I believe. Are you saying your argument is there's no physical evidence for this?
Yes.
Okay. And then Jay will operate off that counter. Neil's saying there's no physical evidence, and we'll move from there. Go ahead, guys.
Again, the claim about the dating, and that would include dating actual physical texts and not later copies, would itself be subject to debate. And thus, when he said that we didn't have examples of Proverbs prior to a certain century, and I gave scholarly claims that there are Proverbs that go back to the pre-monarchic period, Neil then said we don't have physical text. So he moved the goalpost away from scholarly claims to you have to have the physical copies. That's a fallacy to move the goalposts. And so that's what the point of the scholarly claims is, to say, Neil, if I give you counter scholarly claims and there's conservative scholars who date the text before what you would date them, what is the mechanism to know whose scholarly claims are correct? And your answer was to just reassert your position.
No, we take a holistic approach to this. So
How do we know
have
that's
no.
the right way?
So not only hold on, not only let me respond. Not only do we have no physical evidence, on top of that, we don't have. So, for example, another thing that scholars do to test this out is let me finish my. I just let you talk. I just let you talk. Let me talk. No, I'm not repeating my argument. I'm going to give you some more data.
You ignored my
One
argument.
of the things we know about how we know if texts survive or go back far enough is things like naming. People name their children after heroes. After 400 BC, you start seeing names in the sources of Moses, Abraham, Noah, all the heroes from the Old Testament. Before that, there's zero. There's zero. They don't have anyone with those names at all.
Well, hang on. Let me untangle this too. I'm sorry to step in here, guys, but I just got to make sure. So, I got your claim correct. You're talking about physical evidence, but Jay did give an argument to that. And I would like to hear what you have to say in regards to that argument, as he was addressing your argument of no
couldn't even
evidence.
restate the argument, perhaps.
He can't.
You're saying you can come up with scholars who say that the more conservative scholars who dated past the pre-monarchy period. Yeah, I'd say where are they?
I just gave you one right there.
No, I would say where. How do you know this? Why are you just because
Neil,
the linguist that I talked to, the linguists that I talked to say this is all circular. That they date a text, they go Moses lived in 1200 BC.
Right.
So then they find a text in Hebrew that looks like it has the same
it's an appeal to
linguistic.
authority, Neil.
Hold on a
That's the
second.
point.
They use axiom Moses is 1200 BC. Then they find they use that Hebrew from that text and say that's 1200 BC
You're
Hebrew.
not addressing the
and they
argument.
find another text that looks like that
That's
Hebrew
great.
and go
It's
it's also 1200 BC.
Cool storytelling.
It's circular reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to
It's
step in
important.
here. You are talking specifically to methodology here.
Yeah.
And he's giving a specific argument that he wants contended with, and I do think it's fair. As
Okay,
yeah.
So
to
you're saying
contend with that
we're
argument.
at a lock here. You have your scholars, I have mine. Fair. You want to end it there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the question is, you said that, well, if we have a competing claims of scholars thing going on, then it would just be going to the holistic approach.
Yes.
How do we know that the holistic approach is the right approach?
Because your scholars are just saying this text dates
That's
this
a
period.
two-quote way.
Scholars I'm talking to, hold on, I'm not saying you have the same problem. I'm saying your scholars date the text of this period. I'm saying how do they know that? Where the scholars I'm citing are going off archaeology. They're going off archaeology. They're going off namings. They're using the holistic. They're seeing that Jews in that period.
Argument. You're just telling the story again.
Hold on a second.
You're talking about methodology.
Give him a chance, Jay. Give him a chance, Jay.
If the Jews before 400 BC are making graven images and doing things on Sabbath and eating pork, they're not Torah observant, right?
Can you state what my argument is about the holistic approach and what you think I'm arguing? You can go ahead. You've not understood the argument yet? No, I don't. You think that what I'm doing is not, you're saying it's your argument versus mine, but I'm saying all you're going off of. Neil, no, that's not the argument. What's the argument? The argument is that when we have the contention about which scholars and we're going to resolve it, I ask you, what would resolve this? How would we know whether it's conservative or liberal scholars or whatever, your scholars, my scholars, how would we resolve it? And you said we would go by the holistic approach. Okay. How do we know that that's the criteria to go to? That's the question. What's the proof? What's the good reason to believe that your arbitrary statement that it's the holistic thing? Do you not know what the historical method is? Again, how do we know that the holistic approach is the right way to go? Because it follows the historical method and we go off the data and we have the best possible.
My data.
Scenario. Based on the evidence, this is the most likely scenario.
My data.
A holistic approach surveying scholars is not the same thing as the historical method. Those are two different questions.
Yes,
no, they're not.
These scholars who are applying the historical method.
One is consensus of scholars telling us. I'm not talking about consensus of scholars. Huh? I'm not talking about the consensus of scholars. You said it. We would go with the holistic approach.
Yes, I'm talking about. Here's one scholar who's a linguist. Here's what he's saying. Here's what his reasons are. Here's another scholar who's an archaeologist. Here's another scholar who's a textual scholar.
Neil, you said holistic.
That's a holistic, and they're all applying the historical method. You don't do that. You just say the Bible's true.
Again, if they're using, all the scholars are using some form of a historical method. That's a deflection away from how do you know that the holistic approach is right? And you're saying, no, I didn't actually mean a consensus. What did you mean by holistic? I said you go to each of these so a consensus.
Yeah, but it's not a consensus in all. These are different fields that you put together, and then you say, "Wait a minute."
That's
There's
called
not even. Not only is there no.
doesn't have
Hold
to
on.
be a field
You say
specific.
we look at the
You said
data
con-
and we
no, you said
conclude. Not
consensus
only is there no
doesn't
evidence,
Hang on, Jay. Let him
It's the
respond.
opposite.
Let him respond. Go ahead.
not only is there no evidence, it's the opposite.
Again, what
So,
is
so
the-
you have nothing, and I have
Neil,
a whole bunch of
Hang
data.
How
on,
do we
let
know
Jay
that-
respond now.
holism is the criteria that we go with?
I just explained that.
No, how do we all know this?
Well, you don't have to know it, I guess, because you're just
How
going
does the
off what
audience
one
know
scholar.
this? You
You're just
asserted
going
it.
off what one scholar
You
says. I
asserted
just
it, Neil.
told.
How do
I
we-
just gave you the answer.
How does everyone in the audience following your argument
How do you know you're
that
not a
your
brain in the vat?
holism
Hang on, Neil. Let him respond here.
That's
Go ahead,
literally
Jay.
what he's saying.
Again,
So
you keep circling back.
he basically this is the same thing like leftists do. Like if you have like political debates with leftists, like they'll cite the 4 guys that all agree with them, but they won't cite like yeah, of course you're gonna do that. Well, then I'm gonna cite the 4 guys that agree with me. So then now where are we at? We're nowhere, because you got 4 guys that agree with you, I got 4 guys that agree with me. The problem with a lot of people like him, like midwits like him, is like they don't look for alternative viewpoints, right? He's probably never looked into any scholars or any research that disproves what he's saying, right? He only looks to basically what's the word I'm trying to think here? I'm tired. It's like what's the fucking phrasing I'm looking here? He's specifically seeking out people that like validate, right, his viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? No, it's gonna keep going around in circles forever because this guy's not very smart, right? So it's like it's like if I go out and let's say I'm having a political debate and I only go out and all I do is talk to other right wingers and that's all I do. It's like, yeah, of course they're going to reaffirm my beliefs, right? Like, I don't know. It's basically what he's doing. Like he goes out and searches for scholars that only agree with him.
Can you list
And
a bunch of
he doesn't think
scholars
any
that
others are right.
Empirical data.
I
That's how we
understand.
know.
Neil, stop interrupting.
And then he goes,
because
and his argument now is like,
it's a
well,
really
you only
clear
have
sense
one
of
scholar on your side. I
don't
have
dispute
4.
That
Okay.
people go and
Like,
look
all
at
right.
other scholars in other disciplines.
Mhm.
Your resolution to the challenge of competing scholarly
Because
claims
scholars and
was,
historians are
goes
never
to a
wrong,
holistic
guys.
approach.
They're never
Maybe
wrong.
That is true.
They're
And
all
all I'm saying
infallible.
is, how do we know that that's the way to resolve it? Because sometimes
How do you know?
Neil, that's a tu quoque.
I don't care. I'm committing to Coakley. I want to know how
Thank
you know.
you. He's admitting that he's doing.
I'm
quality.
admitting it. How do you know, Jay?
Well, I don't have the problem of competing
you don't
because
have the
because I
problem.
don't accept.
So you
I
don't
don't
even
accept-
have to know.
I-
You just
Stop.
accept that it's true.
I don't accept that holistic ad hoc is an argument.
Yeah, it's
Why would
not.
I
You
have
don't,
to
you don't
answer your
accept the
problem?
you don't accept the you don't accept the data. You don't accept
No,
scholars.
Neil.
You don't accept.
If I present contrary scholars and you
So
have
what?
scholars, and
Scholars
your
say
an-
all types of things.
Neil, your answer was holism, and then I asked you to flesh that out, and you say I don't care.
And I asked you, how do you know? And you said, I don't have to know.
Well,
Neil,
hang
it's
on.
not
the
a
difference?
problem. It's not my argument. It was your argument.
Yeah, we're going here in circles. As to Neil's question, I think it's a fair question. He is asking, what sort of methodology would you appeal
Yep.
to, Jay, for this? And I do think that that's fair for you to answer
Sure.
that.
Right. No, I don't disagree with scholars or the approach of scholarly, academia, et cetera. I was spent time in academia. I have one of my good friends is an Orthodox archaeologist. So there are people who do this, but also have a conservative perspective.
Sure.
And a lot of archaeology backs up the Bible. This kind of stuff comes out all the time. My buddy
Like what?
James is an archaeologist. He blogs about this regularly. He has a PhD in archaeology. So
Mhm.
I have scholars and friends too. My point was just simply that it's not resolved by throwing the claims of scholars back and forth, because there's
Okay.
no way to know if there's conflicting claims if you get to this issue of it being an epistemic question. So again, the way that we interpret the textual
one's the
data, the
idiot?
scholarly data, the academic data is going to be governed by our paradigm. So
The idiot's probably the guy whose name is Gnostic Informant that isn't Gnostic and believes in monism, but he actually believes in Neoplatonism. But then I don't know if he actually believes in that, because then he says some other things that don't make any sense. He's literally just all over the place. He just kind of like regurgitates like every like modern, postmodern like philosophy.
Very ad hoc principle.
Yeah, Jay's
It's
definitely
just
not an
holistic.
idiot. Jay is
Okay,
incredibly
maybe
intelligent.
that's true, Neil. Maybe we do.
He's probably the most well-read, intelligent person you'll ever meet in your entire life. People who shit on him are just retarded.
But I need a good reason to believe it's true. Your answer to that was just to give a bunch of methodologies that are used. That doesn't tell me that holism is the right approach. Maybe it is.
Okay. And I would even respond to that and say, I don't just deny conservative scholars because I don't like what they're saying.
Yes, you do.
I accept. In fact, I'm convinced by Christian scholars all the time.
But you did. You literally just did, bro.
You didn't give me a reason why he says that. He just wrote it down. So what? How did he make that? How did he come to that conclusion?
Well, Neil, I could say that your liberal scholars just wrote it down.
Well, let me give you an example.
Reject conservative scholars. You just did.
Dr. Schmidt, who just came out with published a book about Josephus saying it's authentic. I was convinced by some of his arguments. He made good arguments off the Greek. He demonstrated why he made his arguments that Josephus.
What does that have to do with?
I'm just showing you. It's not. I'm not just denying scholars because they're conservative Christians.
Okay, but in this case,
if they bring arguments that the data, bring arguments that supportive of the data, I'll be convinced by it. It's never. It just doesn't happen to the point where
epistemic questions are prior to scientific questions. Is the problem?
I know that.
Huh?
I know that.
You do.
You're saying our
then why didn't you answer the question about holism and how do we know that that's the right way?
Because my worldview accounts for things like being objective is
okay, and maybe it does, but why ought we to think that holism is the right approach here? You just admitted that some scholars can be in the minority and be correct.
Why
right?
ought? Because we want to follow the data to its final conclusion, to the most
no, but again,
Hold on.
You're missing the point.
Listen,
how does that?
He's an idiot, but I give him credit because he's actually genuinely trying to answer it.
Maybe it is. But what is the basis for that?
This is a hard question to answer.
That's how we discover things in the world.
So that's just restating the thing.
Well, you just asked me a question. That's the answer to it.
So the answer is just a circle?
How is that a circle?
Because the thing in question is an epistemic issue, and you're saying that, well, we'll just be an empiricist. How does that resolve that holism is the right
follow the most rigorous methodologies. That's how we discover things in the world. Is that not true or no?
So the rigorous one is the one that's your position?
Yeah. The rigorous methodology.
Well, again, so it's just restating that you just follow me.
Why wouldn't it be?
So you're just saying follow me.
So I'm not saying me. I'm not saying
don't you.
Now it's an appeal to authority, appeal to experts.
You know anyone that ever had cancer?
Neil, you
do they go to a witch doctor? Do they pray?
Hang on. This is becoming a series of non-sequiturs.
I'm actually making a point here.
Okay, hang on, Neil. I'll allow the point, but if it's becoming a non sequitur and we're not getting to the answer to this question, then I'm going to step in. So go ahead.
Okay. When someone has cancer, they don't just go to their own devices or ask pray about it or go to the witch doctor down the street. They go to the best experts, whether it's the hospital PhDs or
that's not necessarily
something
true.
Where there's literal experts who know what they're doing. They want the best experts that are out there who have the best credentials, period. And you can use that. You can see the same thing for all these other fields of study, and not just medicine, but even history, even things like the humanities. The same thing applies.
Okay. Is it possible that sometimes the scholarship that's conservative is in the minority and could be correct, like you said with the guy about Josephus?
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes my point that scholarly consensus and holism isn't going to be a reliable way to go about it.
Yeah, it's not reliable.
Well, when it comes to the Bible, the consensus usually leans in the direction of most of the scholars that are in the field of
Neil,
studying
I'm
the Bible
asking you why we should
churches.
follow holism and consensus.
I'm not talking about consensus. I'm talking about
you
the
just said
experts in particular fields.
Hang on, but this is the question. This is the question at hand that Jay has asked this argument now twice, and I think it's fair to answer to it. He's asking, he's asking the ought claim, and I'd like you to respond to the ought claim.
That's why I brought up the cancer thing. You go to the experts in the particular field who are the most well established, who know what they're doing.
Neil, the question is, how do we know that we ought to go to the holistic approach or a consensus?
Because if you want to be right, you do it. If you want to be right, you do it. If you want to be right or wrong,
The question is, how do we know that that's the right
That
approach?
that,
we ought
that,
to
im-
take?
that
Well, no, that's a
implies
fair-
like
it's a fair
every
point, but I would
scholar
like to
and
hear the counter
historian throughout
evidence.
time
But
is
you don't have
infallible. Like that's
It's
not.
not-
It's just
no,
not
it's not
true.
to-
Yeah, well,
Wait.
hang on. To be fair,
It is.
to be totally
it's
fair.
not.
Okay, well, Neil, to be totally fair here,
He just can't admit that some
is
things are
not
uncertain.
actually answering the argument.
It's not
that's
answering it at
asking
all.
him to now state a
Yeah.
position.
Mhm.
I do think it's fair for you to answer to the argument that he's making. I would make him answer to yours as well, like I have.
It just did though.
Okay.
I mean, that if
Do you want to
could-
move on to another topic? Maybe.
yeah,
This is just kind of going around.
you don't have to follow the expert. You can follow the conservative scholars. Fine.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
I'm not even. It's an epistemic question about how do we
You're
know
asking
that
about
holism is
oughts
the right
and stuff,
approach.
and
I
and
gave
he-
you.
he doesn't understand
Neil, I gave you a
epistemology
counter
at
to
all.
Why sometimes consensus is wrong, and you
This
admitted
is, this
that
guy
can
is the
happen.
definition
So I'm
of what I
asking you,
call a
how do we know
midwit.
then that we should follow the consensus?
I will
I
give
just
him
told
credit. I have respect.
Okay.
He is trying to answer
you wanna
stuff.
move on to,
He's
I'd like to ask
incapable of
you
answering.
about, 'cause you
They're
made a
above
big
his
deal
pay
about,
grade, above his head.
you know,
But he is
the
trying to answer them.
evil God of the
So
Old
respect,
Testament and his,
respect all
actions.
around. He is trying
Isn't
to
it
answer.
just the case that if infants are dashed against stones, wouldn't, in your worldview, that just be the one manifesting?
No, because in this material realm, we are farthest away from the one, and because of the flux of our reality, things can like this do happen. So the one has a will, but we farthest away from the one, which is where the flux is, there are opposing forces that do things that even if we have a piece of the one within us, and that which is our full potentiality, our telos, if you will, to Aristotle's phrase that you also use in your worldview. Sometimes people don't follow that and they do evil things because we're in the flux. We don't all have direct access to
Right.
the good. That's the problem of evil solved by my worldview. Your worldview just says God let Satan do it.
So what things in this lower dimension are good or evil?
Whatever's in whatever's in appliance with virtue. Virtue.
How do we know what are the virtues?
Yeah, what are the
So
virtues?
those have been debated over time through the dialectic, through the Socratic method, and we have texts that talk about the virtues.
Okay.
Golden sentences.
There we go.
We don't know.
We don't know.
No, we do.
Okay,
Oh,
what
They're
is
debated, but
Like
do we go with the consensus? of the
Okay.
honesty.
Platonic
honor.
consensus.
What?
Honesty?
Yeah.
Okay. How do we know that? I thought you said earlier it was just virtue, right?
Yeah, but because
Platonic
we can come up with things that lead to virtue. That's the highest of the pinnacle
Okay.
of good.
And how
Virtue
do
This
we
is
know?
conversation beyond
Then there are
4 a.m.
other,
brain
there are other
power.
principles that are
Yeah.
good that lead to virtue.
Yeah,
like
somebody-
being honest.
Somebody in the chat earlier was like, "Is this really how you unwind at the end of the day?" I was like, "Yeah, after busting my ass for 11 hours at work, yeah, this is actually how I unwind." Now you guys know why I'm a fucking psychopath. It's like, yeah, I'll read the Bible and then I'll listen to debates like this and then melt my brain.
The virtue?
It's
Honesty leads to
it
itself.
leads to virtue. It's virtue is the highest. Virtue is the highest good you can attain.
Honesty is
So-
a virtue. You don't know.
This is my come down. This is
Yes.
how I come down at the end of the day.
so honesty leads to honesty.
No, it's one of the lesser virtues that leads to capital V.
How do you know
virtue.
the gradation?
Arete
How do
is
you
what
know
they
which
call
ones
it.
are lower and higher?
Well, because there's different ways to debate this. Negation we can use. We can debate it. We can
How
talk
does
about what is
negating
good.
tell you that honesty is a lower virtue than another?
We can talk. I just said we debate and we negate. We figure
How
out
does
what is not
debating
good.
tell you that?
Knowing what not is good, what is not good.
What
to
is the
figure out
epistemic
what is good.
principle that we're
I
supposed
just
to
gave it.
follow?
I just told you.
No, you didn't. You said debating. That's a thing that people
That's
do. It's not
the same thing you
that's
do.
not an epistemic principle. It's an action.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's how we figured these things out over time.
So that's a
Gnosis.
method.
That's what
a,
gnosis
not.
is.
It's not a principle.
Well, the principle is having the dogma of attaining virtue. That's the
So
principle.
wait a minute. I thought you were about.
Have a good night,
reason, and Now
Dougal.
you're saying it's dogma.
Yeah, the only dogma
Why should we
that
accept your
Platonists,
dogma?
the only Platonist that virtue that the only dogma that Platonists hold is attaining virtue.
Yeah, but you
Virtue
don't-
is the highest good. That's
you
it.
did-
Because if you
again,
have more than one
honesty
dogma,
is one of
if you
the
have more than one
virtues.
dogma, you end up conflicting at some point.
Neil, this is all just gibberish sophistry.
No, it's not.
Honesty is
This
one
is,
of
all,
the
this is what the
virtues.
Neoplatonists wrote. This is what the Neoplatonists wrote.
That's an appeal to authority. Who cares?
I'm just saying. If you're saying it's all nonsense, this has been written about
No,
for thousands
but
of years.
so what?
Who
There's a lot of
cares?
ancient
That's not,
writers that
that's
wrote
not what the
nonsense, right?
conversation
I'm
is
just
about.
giving you the answers.
Okay, so what we need is good reasons to know that honesty is the one that leads us to the higher virtues. How do we know that?
My worldview isn't in contradiction like yours is.
That's
So
a
we're debating. No, it's
That
not.
is a
We're
tu
debating
quoque.
who's
I'm
more
asking,
coherent.
just explain to me. I
No,
want to
my
be,
worldview is
wanna
more
be a
coherent
Neoplatonist.
than yours. So that's why people should listen to me over you.
Fine. Let's
How's
say
it more
Christianity is
coherent?
contradictory. What is the reason that we ought to believe that honesty is the virtue that leads to the highest virtues?
Because you haven't demonstrated any other worldview to be better.
Because I haven't done something? What?
Yes.
No, I'm asking from your worldview. Why are we? What's the epistemic principle here?
Because of the predictive success and for example.
How does honesty give predictive success?
Well, no, hold on a second. When we look back in history, we can see
Bro.
wherever these Platonists were, there was renaissances.
He's
So
falling
when they were
apart
kicked
now.
out of Constantinople.
Yeah, now he's
hold on a
starting to-
second.
Once
I'm gonna make a
once
point
he
here.
starts having to
When they kicked out
actually
of
explain his
Constantinople,
epistemology, he starts falling
after
apart
having
real
the
fast.
greatest empire ever, the Roman Empire, inheriting things from the Greeks, the greatest, the Pax Romana, all the way up to the late antiquity, they become Christian. They kick the Platonists out. They go to the east. They go to Babylon, and then they even lead to a quote unquote Islamic golden age because they're reading the text of Aristotle.
Did you measure that
when they
scientifically?
when they come back to Macedonia, when they come back to business, there's a Macedonian.
Bro,
mini
this guy
Renaissance,
believes in like
then there's
Atlantis
another
level
measure.
fucking
I'm
Did
fantasies.
you
just
measure
saying.
that scientifically?
When we can look at history and
No,
say,
that's arbitrary.
okay, let me
How
ask
do
you
we know
this:
your criteria? of a
Aristotle
successful-
and Aristotle
Neil,
and
how do we
Galen.
know your criteria of a successful society is correct? Because we're asking
Here's my
about
worldview.
virtue, which
My
would be
worldview.
the basis for what
My
the successful
worldview.
society is. So it's
That's
a
not an
circle.
answer, man.
Sure. Okay. So let me ask you this: Aristotle and Galen.
Huh?
Aristotle and Galen. You know who they are?
Uh-huh.
So Galen was the textbook for medical text. He was written in the 2nd century AD. Aristotle's 4th century BC.
Aristotle's not a Neoplatonist.
Well, actually, Middle Platonists and Neoplatonists and later Platonists take Aristotle
I'm
and
aware.
merge it
But
with.
it- but
So
what does
we
that
can
do
use
with-
it. We
what
use
does that do with
Aristotle.
Aristotle?
So I'm not talking. We use Aristotle. You're wrong. So what
No,
I'm
I didn't
saying
s-
is,
how am I wrong? He's not a Neoplatonist.
I didn't say he
That's true.
was. I said we use Aristotle either way.
How
I'm
is
not talking-
Aristotle going to prove Neoplatonism?
I'm showing you Aristotle's works and Galen's works were the central textbooks for medical science and
I'm aware. Yeah.
and science all the way up until the 16th century.
But how does that prove Neoplatonism?
Because Christianity couldn't do anything to improve on that.
How
We had
does
to go.
no,
We had to
that's a-
wait till the
that's a
plate.
fallacy,
We had to wait till my worldview
That's-
was back.
Christianity
We
has
had to wait
nothing
till
to do
my
with-
worldview was
Neil,
back
that's a
for things to
fallacy.
get. No, it's
Neil,
not.
It's a fallacy.
How?
Yeah. To
How?
say, well, Christianity couldn't do this is not answering the question of how do we know that because Aristotle.
You're
and
asking about
Galen-
worldviews.
Neil,
I'm showing you.
How do we know that proves? The question was about proving Neoplatonism, and you said, well, Aristotle did some good things, and then Galen wrote some medical stuff, and Christianity couldn't do it. That doesn't prove Neoplatonism. That's a
Christianity
non
couldn't
sequitur.
improve on these basic science texts, and then
Neil,
after
how
the
does
16th
that prove Neoplatonism from Aristotle and Galen? This is ridiculous.
because we're doing a worldview versus
Aristotle
worldview
and
debate,
Galen
right?
weren't Neoplatonists.
We're doing a worldview versus worldview
Neil,
debate, right?
they weren't
Which one's
Neoplatonists.
more
So what does
coherent?
it have to do with proving
Because
Neoplatonism?
my worldview is more coherent than
But
yours.
they're
Jay.
not Neoplatonists.
I didn't say they were. Why
Well,
are
it's
you being
irrelevant.
bad faith?
Then it's irrelevant.
Neoplatonists draw from Galen and Aristotle. They're
Then
part
they're
of our
after them, and it's irrelevant.
I know that. I'm after them
Thank
too.
you. You know that it's
Oh,
irrelevant.
this
Thank
is
you that
this
you
is
know
makes
that
no
it's
sense. I'm after Aristotle. I can borrow from Aristotle. Why not?
Neil,
you think
how
I'm
does
you think I'm
them
supposed to
being
not? You think
after
I
Neil-
can't read Aristotle and learn from Aristotle?
how does this prove
I have some sort of
Neoplatonism?
metaphysical thing that
How
stops me
does
from
it
reading
prove
Aristotle?
Neoplatonism, Neil?
Because I said my worldview is more coherent than yours.
Okay.
Because you said it. Wow. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
it is. I proved
Okay.
it
Hang
in this
on. Hang
debate.
on.
I
Hang
proved
on,
it in this debate.
Gentlemen. Neil, Jay's done a lot of the cross exam here. You haven't really had too much chance to cross exam back. I'm going to give you the last 10 minutes to do that. Go ahead when you're ready.
I don't want to get into the dating of the text. It's stupid. We already get on that. So I go, we talk about the Trinity. What about the I haven't heard much of you defending things like God being jealous or God not being omniscient or not even being omnipotent. For example, when the iron chariots came and in Judges, the tribe of Judah got wiped out. Why doesn't that show God's not all powerful? What's the response to that?
No, there's often statements that explain why they lost, and in every case, God explains that you lose when you're wicked. But by the way, you said that it's
want me to
okay. You said it's okay if jealousy is used. Well, why
Hold on.
cannot
Let's
the word
you made a point
Neil.
there. I'm doing the cross examination here. Hold on a second.
You're not letting me answer.
Judges, but you want to move on to
No, I'm not. I'm explaining.
Okay, finish your
anthropomorphic
point.
language.
Go ahead.
Okay. So again, the anthropomorphic language, again, if God says something like he's jealous, you said, okay, fine, you could say maybe that's anthropomorphic earlier. But if jealousy can be anthropomorphic, as you admitted, then regret can as well. So I think that clears up the jealousy and regret issue. But when God says that you will lose your battles, this is explained in Deuteronomy that you will be trodden upon when you're wicked. So it's not because of a lack
Doesn't
of
say they're wicked.
In Deuteronomy, when there's covenant sanctions, God warns them and he says,
know that.
if let me finish. So if you are wicked, you will lose your battles and be trodden upon. So what I'm saying is that when there's an explanation like that, it doesn't mean anything close to denying divine omniscience. It just means that the reason that they were defeated was because of this, but
because they broke the
ultimately
covenant.
because
Yes, welcome.
of God punishing them.
Okay, I'm talking about Judges, not talking about Deuteronomy. It specifically says Judges 1:19, Yahweh or the Lord. Hold on, it's my turn, dude.
It doesn't matter if it's Judges because that's
hold on. Yahweh was with Judah, or Theos in Greek. Theos was with Judah, and he drove the inhabitants of the mountain, but he could not drive out the inhabitants. Still talking about Yahweh, because they had chariots of iron. Nothing to do with Judah being wicked.
There's a similar statement where you have, for example, Jesus says he goes into a town and it says, and he could not do any miracles there because of their unbelief. So this is a principle.
I'm not. Why are you talking about?
Neil, I'm giving other examples of this principle in Scripture. That just because that text doesn't say that they're wicked, it doesn't follow from that there's not another text that comments on that and explains that.
Bro, you fundamentally don't understand the Bible.
Wicked,
it's not. You're not reading it in historical order, bro.
Like explain that God allowed them to be defeated via the
Jesus Christ.
This one doesn't do that.
This guy doesn't even understand the Bible.
Yahweh couldn't win the battle. Because they had iron chariots. There's nothing about wicked.
Everybody interprets text holistically, including Platonists and Neoplatonists. If I took one phrase of Plato out of context and I said this phrase disproves all Platonism, you would say you got to look at the whole body of Platonic corpus. You can't just take one passage.
All three dumb as rocks. No, actually not.
Everybody does.
If you had one text that was in contradiction,
I don't even think Neil's really stupid either. He's just
take the whole thing. And in this particular one here, it's clear what's happening here. Yahweh could not drive them out.
No, you're just saying it's clear, but you say anything.
I'm sure you're super smart, Ryan.
You just
I can't wait to see you on the stage debating, brother.
Which is that yes, you can look at the rest of the text to see if it's reconciled or if it synthesizes, and then you turn around and said, "But here, this one is clear as a contradiction." Well, again, it's not if you believe in a holistic interpretation. Which, again, if I brought the Platonic corpus here and I found one phrase, wouldn't you call me out and say, you don't have the right to say one phrase out of context from the rest of the corpus, right?
Well, actually, the Platonists don't really care if you think we would have a debate about maybe you do have a contradiction. Maybe you did find a contradiction here. Let's talk about it.
So you wouldn't care if Platonic texts were being interpreted improperly.
Okay, that's not, you mean that way, then yeah, we would debate that. But so you're saying because of this doctrine that when something bad happens to the Judahites, they were wicked. So no matter what it says, if they fell, they were wicked.
No, specifically, not anything bad, but specifically, if you do not obey me, you will lose your battles and be trodden upon. That's one of the penal sanctions in Deuteronomy.
Right, but you got to at least admit this particular text here in Judges 1 is very unclear about there being some sort of divine punishment happening.
Again, it's when we read holistically the way the covenant functions, all of the battles and all the situations where they lose, the implication is that when Israel is unfaithful, they will lose the battles. In the same way, when Jesus walks into that town and it says, and he was unable to do miracles there because of their lack of faith, it's not because of his omniscience that his omnipotence was failing that day. It's because he chose to not reward them and to reciprocate. It's a reciprocal relationship where he chose to not do the miracles because they did not have faith. Likewise, Yahweh chose to not give Israel the battle because they're unfaithful.
Your text in the New Testament says that they didn't have faith. Judges 1 does not say that. Judges 1 said,
No.
it even says it earlier.
Yeah,
that Yahweh said,
holy fuck,
Judah,
brother.
go up, and I have delivered the land
Everybody
into your
Uh,
hands.
interprets text holistically. That's what I said earlier.
But
It
these
doesn't
texts
have-
weren't written. These
it
texts were
doesn't
written
have
at
to
different
say-
times by
it
different
doesn't
authors.
have to say within the text
Yeah.
every implication
I
to mean
understand
what
that.
I'm saying.
I understand that now that you have a church that does exegesis and apologetics, then now you can interpret things holistically.
Everyone does exegesis. You just admitted that with Plato.
Right, but I'm saying these texts were written for different people in different times.
Mhm.
They weren't
Yes,
necessarily
correct.
written for a canonical church to be taking as a holistic thing.
Well, I mean, that's your assumption as an unbeliever, but I have a different paradigm, a different assumption. So, but again,
Yeah.
that's why I asked
Yeah.
you if wouldn't you agree that you can interpret Platonic text holistically? For example, even within one Platonic dialogue, right? You wouldn't take one line and say, well, this appears to be contrary to all the other things in this dialogue, right? Wouldn't it be fair to interpret it holistically?
That's fair.
Okay, so,
you-
all I'm saying is that
I'm being good
it's
faith
a
here. I'm trying to
rival
say.
interpretation between canonical versus
Thank you,
taking
Neil.
one
Thank
verse.
you.
Let me try to understand you better. You're saying that whatever this guy wrote is kind of doesn't really matter because
No, it's not
the
at all.
church has to interpret it anyway.
So what do you
Is that
think,
you're
Neil?
saying? No.
That's not what he's
This
saying.
doesn't even necessitate bringing the church in. I'm just saying that canonically or holistically, even in Jewish literature, for example, you wouldn't take one verse out of the context of Judges and read it against all the rest of the book of Judges, right? Now, you could do that, like you can do it, but it's not really fair to any text to operate that way. And all I'm saying is that from our perspective, that
Okay.
verse would be read, for example, in the context of the book of Judges and the rest of the Old Testament, where we have other explanations as to, well, why is it that the Israelites sometimes lose these battles? Well, in the covenant sanctions, it says, when you're unfaithful, you will be trodden upon and you won't win the battles.
You got one question left, Neil, and then we got to wrap it for calls.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
super
My
chats.
last question is: there's minor contradictions too that I'm not going to make a big deal out of. Like 1 Chronicles 21, it tells the same story that's in 2 Samuel 24, and it starts off: Satan rose up against Israel and
No, it's a great
incited
example.
incited David to take
Yeah.
a census, and then
And then God did it in the other one.
and then God did another one, and then you have another one where you have in the New Testament. And I want to get your question. You can.
Sure.
I'm not just going to put this aside.
It's fine.
In the New Testament, it talks about Quirinius doing a census,
Right.
Which we can actually locate through reading Josephus and other sources and triangulate that he would have been governor around 7 to 6 BC or AD. I'm sorry, which is when the census would have happened. Where in Matthew it says Jesus was born in 4 BC. How do we know that? Because Herod died in a certain year of Augustus's reign. I can't remember exactly, but it leads to 4 BCE. Now, someone like myself, when I'm reading this stuff, I'm seeing these contradictions. I know these are minor. These aren't big theological major. I'm not saying this like shatters your religion or anything, but I'm reading these things as just a person with doing regular reasoning, inductive reasoning, just reading these texts and going, wow, these are some contradictions. Why ought I believe in the text like this? Or why ought I follow some sort of religion like this?
So the question of the situation of God allowing the evil to occur, and then David took a census, and then it says Satan. God moved David to take a census, and it says Satan moved David to take a census. The answer is that in many cases, if you look at the Exodus narrative as well, you have the explanation that when Pharaoh, quote, hardened his heart, there's one passage where it says Pharaoh hardened his heart against Moses and against God, and there's another passage where it said God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So one passage says Satan did it, one passage said God did it. The answer to that is that God allowed Satan to have dominion and to do it. So it's a really simple resolution that and there's other cases where, for example, other cases where, for example, you have people being deceived. One of the prophets has a lying spirit, and it says that God allowed a lying spirit to be in the mouth of the prophet. So God allows evil, and you can speak of things as direct and indirect causation. So one passage is talking about the ultimate indirect causation. The other passage is talking about the direct immediate causation that Satan's moving them to do it. So, and then when it comes to the claims about dating and that kind of stuff with the census or whatever, again, from my paradigm, if I believe that divine revelation is true, I'm going to have that as my judge of the secular unbelieving scholars. And again, the reason I was saying that about with holism earlier was that just to illustrate that you have a paradigm and you have scholars that you're going to accept on the basis of your presuppositions and your pre-commitments. I have the same situation. I have my presuppositions, my pre-commitments, and that's why really the reconciliation has to always go back to worldviews.
Okay, gentlemen. I'm going to give a real quick wrap up, 2 minutes each, because we're way over time. I know that that's not a lot of time, but I want to make sure that we keep this confined to something close to 3 hours here. So, Neil, Jay opened first, so I'm going to give him the last.
I'm not gonna
So
sit
go
through
ahead
the
with your
super chat
opening or
stuff. So
closing
once the
statement. You got
closing's
2
done,
minutes.
then we'll wrap up. I'll go watch
just wanna admit,
Bupella's video.
Jay's a good
Bupella, you
debater.
still here?
I knew this wasn't going to be
Bupella,
easy.
Bupella. I'll
and
go
he
watch your
can-
video.
He can get out of some good pickles there, but I ultimately do think that my worldview is simpler, accounts for things just as well as his does. And you even have modern empiricist scholars, Platonists, like I mentioned, Werner Heisenberg, who attest to these things, and I could see that the things out in the real world work in sync with what my worldview is. So things like evolution and atoms and the age of the universe, stuff like that, where I don't have to fight that for any particular textbook, or Jay does. I think that's where I think we both agree on sort of like the metaphysical reality of there being a perfect God in the beginning, who, whether you call it a trinity or a triad, and emanates these things, or you don't believe in the emanations, but the essence and energies distinction thing that Orthodoxy has. I mean, you can read stuff like Saint Dionysius, the Areopagite, put him side by side with someone like Proclus, and you see a lot of this stuff does line up. Now, I agree with Jay. There are fundamental big differences that are going to be
It's okay.
drastic, which ends up with
I think Neil argued in good faith.
nasty.
As long as people argue in good faith, I'm not going to hate on him.
I think my worldview.
He did try to genuinely answer questions. He did concede points.
Okay, Jay, you got 2 minutes.
Yeah, I want to thank Neil for doing the debate. It was an enjoyable debate, and I didn't think it was nasty. I thought we actually had a great conversation. It got heated, but it wasn't over the top. Yeah, so I would say I think from Neil we didn't really hear a convincing, coherent argumentation about why his position is correct. We heard a lot of claims, a lot of assertions about Neoplatonism, and we saw some appeals to authority. And well, this physicist today had this view, and my view is simpler. Well, it's funny because when I debated Daniel Hakikachu, he said, look, Islam is true because it's simpler. Well, Islam has a monad. Neil has a monad. There's other positions that have this sort of monad. How would we know what amongst the monad positions is true? Because they all appeal to principles like simple, or because it's scientific, or because it follows the data.
Yeah, if you don't understand Neoplatonism, it's going to be really hard for you to follow.
They don't actually put any rubber to the road. They don't actually give us any meat to know, well, wait a minute, why is it Neoplatonism and not Iamblichus or Plotinus or Proclus or any of the other Middle Platonists and later Platonists? There's no real way to know or to see that any of those positions are anything other than something totally antithetical to modern scientism, which again, Neil wants to have his foot in both camps. He wants to be an ancient Neoplatonic mystic, but he also wants to have this scientific perspective. And he said, well, I wasn't trying to appeal to scientists. I just think that empiricism is true. Well, again, empiricism is not the same thing as Neoplatonism at all. In fact, they're typically pretty much
very quickly, Jay.
Yeah, quickly. So I think that Neil did not give a coherent view. I think that the Orthodox perspective is coherent, and maybe we could have a part 2 or something going more into Orthodoxy or something.
Happy to have you guys back on again. I understand that I am known for being a tough moderator on both sides, and so if you felt like I was being unfair at certain points, then I did my job properly. Diving into super chats here. Caller's going to stack up on the back end at this point.
I don't care. I don't care about the super chats. Boo. Fuck, do I spell your name, Bupella? Bupella, where'd you go? Let me watch your fucking video, you little gremlin. Where are you at? I saw you earlier. Where the fuck is he? Oh, there he is. All right, you little gremlin. What the fuck is this? What is this? Oh shit.
このミッションのバックアップ頼むわ。
わかった。俺たちがやるよ。
Yeah. Okay, Bufella. I see what you're cooking. All right, Bufella. I see what you're cooking. I see what you're cooking here. Fucking Bufella, man. Oh man, there's so many little gremlins in the community. I love you guys. God. What's she playing?
I think so.
Yeah, it's still 160.
She's never. Guys,
Hey, at least we're under
go
170 now.
give her more subs. Make sure she never stops streaming. Go give her more subs. Her stream can never end. She fucked herself. Intellectual's pretty good. God. The cat. Oh, you're useless. Hang on.
Hey guys. What is going on right now? I'm so lost. I'm so confused. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what's going on anymore. So I just I have to make a response video.
Bro, dude, this guy is such a gremlin. I love it, man. I love him so much. Bro, he spells everything wrong on Reddit. I'm just trying to be useful for this guy, dude. He's so fucking... I love this guy so much, man.
Really quick to Lord Intellectual.
Fuck.
I get... Oh, you know, I should... Let's preface. We need a preface. We need to preface this. Long story short, I reacted to a Skybrowse video, and I think I've talked to him a couple times, and he made another video, and I told him I was gonna react to his video, and then I didn't. And when I realized I didn't react to his video, I reacted to it like late, I don't know, a few days later, and I felt bad, and I don't know what happened, but somehow he remembered me. So now I'm in his newest video, Crybrows, which I did a reaction to, which is absolute banger. I didn't expect to be in any of his videos, and now people are like following me and subscribing to me. I need help.
I fucking love this guy, dude. Yeah, this guy, he's just like a shit posting gremlin in his own little corner of the internet. Now he's like, nobody will ever notice me. Nobody will ever notice me in my little corner of the internet, and now everybody's noticing him. I fucking love it. Now he's having a fucking conundrum where he's like, do I keep up the shtick, or do I drop it, or do I double down?
Help! I feel like I'm being assaulted. So anyway, look, I'll show you. Look, so the reaction to Skybrowse's video is now my most popular video. It's not even my...
Look at how he spells it. Bro, dude. How the fuck do people find your videos, man? What are you
content? It's Skybrowse's content. Why are you guys here? I don't know. Let's see. I've got 213 subscribers. I got, it says 93 in the last 28 days. I'm pretty sure it's like 100 and had 44. There. Is this what I signed up for? Help me, help. Anyway, so what the main point of this video is to reply to Lord Intellectual. He actually did a really good job, a breakdown of every single cameo in Skybrowse's new video, Crybrows. And I thought about doing this too, because I've been going to every creator that I can find and you know, liking and subscribing and saying stuff on their videos. And some of them were doing really in-depth reviews, and
he's not talking about me, chat. He ain't talking about us. we don't do that here. I listen. Like my content is garbage. Okay, it's absolute garbage. All right.
And I didn't, and now I feel bad. Gosh damn.
You shouldn't feel bad, Eustace. Me and you, we're two peas in a pod, Eustace. You're a shit poster. I'm a shit poster. Let's just keep shit posting, brother. All right.
Dang it, all the pressure. I can't take the pressure. Anyway, Lord Intellectual made some comments about me, and we're responding. Okay, let's see what he had to say.
Okay, guys, this is Eustace the Useful.
Okay, yes. So, I've never really talked about this. I've never made this clear before. So I go by Eustace, and I think my channel name is Eustace the Useful, but in full context, it's Eustace the Useful Idiot, because I'm a dumb. That's why I wear a dunce hat. I'm stupid.
And you're going to ask me to describe Eustace the Useful to you're going to ask me to describe his content, and I can't. I don't know.
He's a fucking gremlin.
I have no idea how to describe Eustace.
Eustace is a gremlin,
off-the-wall
dude.
Alternative reactor, from what I can tell. But trying to describe some of his content is what I imagine it's like to try and describe an alien running loose on LSD. Like,
I think
you're
not.
going to have to account for yourself. Just be prepared for an off-the-wall, non-standard personality here. Look, very entertaining. Eustace, if you're watching this, love your whole aesthetic, but I
Oh, dude, do I want to know what Intellectual said about me? I actually don't want to know. I don't want to know. I feel like he would roast the fuck out of me. Yeah, I feel like he would roast the fuck out of me, dude.
Yeah, I just cannot decipher you. I apologize.
I can't decipher you. I can decipher Eustace. That's why I said Eustace is my spirit animal, man. Like I get it. Trust me.
Cool. All right. Yes. Yes. Definitely watching. How do I describe myself? That's a good question. I think I mentioned it in another video. My channel is just kind of an outlet for myself, because I have all these thoughts in my head that I can't say out loud because I get in trouble if I say them out loud. So this is my this is my way to.
Like I said, man, I know what he's doing. This little channel, this nobody channel, he gets like 10 views. This was just so he could basically shit post and just say a bunch of fucking naughty shit. And now he feels awkward because now people are noticing him, and he's like, oh wait, I'm gonna get in trouble. I can't say this stuff anymore. So he's having a fucking he's having a midlife crisis essentially.
I don't know, comment on stuff and say stuff and not take myself so serious all the time, I guess. I don't know. I'm actually a really serious individual in real life, and I don't want to be. I just don't want to be. I want to take society and tell it to just go away. Leave me alone for a little bit, society. Gosh dang it. And you made a comment about a couple of the creators about them being like right wing or just right of center or that sort of thing, and I mentioned in one of my videos that,
God, dude, I don't want to know what. Okay, we'll watch it. I don't really want to know what Intellectual said about me, but I'm sure it's not good.
I felt like I was a centralist, and I mean, realistically, I was.
Eustace, I don't care about your politics, buddy. I just want to hang out with you. Eustace, if you ever see this, you want to play some games, buddy, you can fully embrace the stick. I'll embrace it with you. We'll have a good time. Like, you're like my spirit animal, brother. You're just a shit poster, man. You just want to unwind from the stress and all the bullshit you have to deal with on a day-to-day. We have to be super serious all the time, and you just want to get on the internet and shit post, because that's what the internet was, right? You're an old soul like me. The internet was always supposed to be about anonymity and just shit posting, right? It wasn't supposed to be serious. It wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. And like, that's what I love about you, Eustace, is like, you have your character online. It's not you. It's like a character you're playing into it. Like, I love how you misspell everything in all your titles. It's fucking hilarious. This guy goes so far when he talks in chat, he even misspells everything in chat. I fucking love it. I love it so much. I'm not sure where to go from that t-shirt. It's made off a whim. I think the story for extension. I mean, just literally copy. It's Final Fantasy, right? You're copying, you know, the assault on the Mako reactor. Just literally copy that.
That was like a Democrat. I don't know. What year is it? Jesus Christ. 30 years.
Yeah, all these labels they just don't matter. Like whether Democrat, right wing, conservative, like it just doesn't matter. I mean, like the fact that like people think like, oh, because you're conservative or Republican and all this shit, it's all nonsense, man. Right? For me, my politics is Christianity. Right? I argue everything to a Christian lens. I don't care about Republicans. In fact, I honestly, I'm surprised I'm not in jail because I was on Twitter basically saying that like half the Republican admin needs to be hung for treason. So
years ago? Oh, has it been that long? Okay. Well, anyway, the center has moved so far to the left that I am apparently on there right now. I don't know.
Yeah, basically, if you were a liberal, like an actual liberal, not like whatever made up liberal term they used to call people liberal. If you are a traditional liberal, classical liberal, from 2000 to 2010, right? Hillary Clinton, Obama, Bill Clinton. You are now right wing, right? You're essentially right wing. That's how far left that the current left is. Yes, you no longer have a party. It's only a matter of time before they oust the rest of like the milquetoast Democrats that don't fall in line with progressive ideals. So this is what I've been saying forever. Trump is not a Republican. He's not a traditional Republican. He's not a neocon. He's not even a conservative. Trump is very much a liberal. He's always been a liberal. Was the largest Democrat donor for almost his entirety of his life up until just recently, right? So
people get mad at me for just saying the most benign, normal, common sense things, and I have to second guess what I'm talking to sometimes, and I think all of those ideas in my brain are now leaking out onto the internet. So I'm sorry. Don't
apologize, Eustace.
I'm sorry. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I guess I do political reactionary stuff. The goal is to start streaming, and I have a model being commissioned, and it's taken a long time for the model.
Yeah, you know why? Because all these modern artists are garbage. They have no creativity. They have no passion. They're not real artists. You should have just made your model of AI.
Not to say anything bad about who's making the model. It's just it takes time. So I'm right now I'm just a YouTuber, but streaming soon. TM, whatever that means, but anyway, Lord Intellectual, very much appreciate.
All right, let's see what he said about me. I really like this guy, by the way. This guy has been like out of everybody in like the Skybrow's expanded universe, like who has like exploded the most? It's this guy. This guy, his like even his normal videos get thousands of views. I'm lucky to pull 200 views on a video. This guy, arguably, I probably got more subs than him. I probably got more subs than him through all the Skybrow stuff, but that's because I've been in it longer. This guy's probably had the most biggest come up. Like he literally started this channel less than a month ago, and you can see where he is at. And now it's he's just exploding, right? He's literally just getting thousands of views. And I am going to just say how unfair it is that he has a gentlemanly British accent and my voice is annoying, because I feel like that is a unfair buff that he has, right? That he actually has a proper British gentleman's accent. And I think that goes a long way. So it really pisses me off. That's genetics in play. Go fuck yourself. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this guy has been honestly the one who's exploded the most. Like this guy actually, out of all of us, right? Let's just be real. Some of you, I don't want to be mean to some of you, and this applies to me as well, right? We're just not real content creators. We're not real content creators. Like we're like this guy actually will be a real content creator. Like right in like a couple months from now, when the Skybrow stuff wears off and then everybody forgets about all the cameos and like there's new sets of cameos, this guy will actually still be a YouTuber. And he'll probably be like at 10-20K subs in a few months, and he will be like an actual legitimate like political commentary channel. The rest of us, absolutely not. Like not me, not most of us. That's fine, I accept that, but this guy has had insane growth, right? He will actually be. So let's just see him talk shit about me, because I know he's gonna talk shit about me. Dude, he did so much on Mavlook. That's crazy. Mavlook's actually like the smallest one out of all of us. You guys should go help Mavlook out. His channel is like really small.
Okay, we have Morvik. No, Mavlook. Sorry. I do apologize. I've only seen your name written down. So
he didn't say shit about me. That's not a good sign. That's either a really good sign or not a good sign. He literally like didn't break me down at all. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Okay, my notes. I've got some fairly long notes for some of the VTubers and some of the people here. But the only note I have here is smooth voice, no voice fry. Damn him! Because if you guys listen to this guy's voice, I have never heard anyone else who has so little voice fry. He basically has no voice fry. And if you don't know what voice fry is, it's that most people have it. It's that really annoying, like that gritty sort of texture to your voice. And it does typically take a lot of vocal training to get rid of that. So I don't know if Mavlook here has any vocal training. I don't know if he's a vocalist or if that's just, he was favored by
I was just gonna say that I'm jealous of his voice and he's jealous of Mavlook's voice. That's peak irony, dude. That's why I'm saying like it's funny because like we're on the same level, right? Like he's thinking about the same things that I am. Like this fucking guy's got such a this guy's got such a perfect voice for like political commentary, right? Like I'm thinking all I keep thinking about is like, man, this guy's exploding. And I'm like, well, he's got a really good voice for this. Like people like to listen to like this gentlemanly English kind of accent, and he sounds intelligent even if he doesn't actually say anything intelligent. That's not saying he doesn't say anything intelligent. I'm just saying like even when he's just saying like normal everyday things, it makes him sound smart, right? So people want to listen to it. Where I sound like a fucking dumbass, right? So it is funny that this is actually like peak irony right here. This is funny.
God in the genetics department. But yeah, he has an absolutely.
I just said all of this about him. This is actually peak fucking irony.
Amazing voice, the dulcet tones, I guess you would call it. And he covers a lot. He's a variety streamer, I guess you would call him as well. Absolutely, he really wants me to get a full VTuber model. And guys, a little lore here on that. The reason I don't is I've said this before. I won't go into too much detail for operational security, and my regulars here know, okay, Lord Intellectual is about to start going on about operational security again to get settled in. But no, in my day job, I'm a professional within a certain industry.
Yes.
And it is typical to be targeted by hostile foreign state actors. So operational security is extremely important. And I won't get too much into the detail. If you want the full lore on that, you can go watch my Amelia's React video where I actually go more in depth on that. But long story short, the PC that I'm currently...
Hell yeah, brother. PNG tubers unite. We are the PNG tubers. Don't abandon me, please. I need you.
Currently talking to you on and that I'm recording to you on. I've actually so it is...
Someone should clip that and share it with him. Please don't. It's embarrassing.
A $90 PC.
It is funny though.
Out of a bargain clearance bin. It is basically a Raspberry Pi, and I've installed Arch on it with a what is essentially a cross between Linux Mint and Zorin OS. UI basically, and that's essentially it sits in its own DMZ. It's got an old NAS because there's no way I was going to be able to attach a full-size hard drive to this without breaking the thing open. So I've just I pulled an old mothball NAS out of storage, connected it into the same DMZ, which is Arch setup to do with the VTuber 6 time. I don't know what I did different. That is just art. That is just art. OBS crashes every time I try to do more.
He's just rambling. All right, guys, let's get roasted. Here we go. Ah, God, it's only like 30 seconds, but I feel like I'm about to get cooked right here.
And here we have Feeble Mind. Feeble Mind is a long form VTube reactor. From what I can see, he definitely leans right of center, but he calls out a lot of bad behavior all over the place, which is something that we like to see. So if you like to see multi-hour long sometimes videos or
Okay, yo, he peeps the streams. Yo, my man, dude. That's what I'm talking about. My man, dude. Hell yeah. I don't know if I'm center or right. Like I'm probably like extremely right wing. Like I want a third party kind of right wing, but yeah. I mean, I want Christian nationalism, right? My whole ethos is Christian nationalism. Everything's argued through a Christian lens, a Christian viewpoint. I don't care about conservatism. What are we trying to conserve, guys? I don't know. They don't know either, right? Republican, Democrat means fucking nothing to me. Like, everything is through the lens of Christianity. My goal is to install leadership that are all actual devout Christians and will make rules and policies based on Christian beliefs. For example, I would outlaw porn. Porn would be outlawed in the entire country federally, 100%. If you get caught, you will go to jail. It needs to be that harsh. If it's not that harsh, nobody will take it seriously. If you get caught watching porn, you will go to jail. If you make porn, you will go to jail, right? I would also re-ban alcoholism. I would do prohibition again. I would also include cigarettes and drugs. All drugs are illegal. Cigarettes are illegal. Alcohol is illegal, right? So I would say I'm not moderate at all. Like, I appreciate, the benefit of the doubt, but like, it's funny to me because the thing that leftists say that like Leaflet is or Asmongold is, like, I am that thing. I am the boogeyman, right? Like, I am the boogeyman coming for you, right? It's like, and there's a lot of us, and we have a very large movement, and like, we are the boogeymen coming for you, but they don't have the balls to actually engage with us. They have to attack the moderates, right? Because it's all about attacking the moderates, right? Because they're the easy target, right? Don't attack the actual right wing. You attack the moderates, because which is stupid, by the way. It's like a completely antithetical thing to do, because all you're going to do is push the moderates back towards my side. And you see it shifting anyway, right? I hear the most insane shit coming from super moderate people that I've never thought I would ever hear. Like, I've heard Leaflet say some extreme shit. I've heard Asmon saying more and more extreme shit. And I've seen her Tech Tone saying more and more extreme shit. Like, people are coming around to my viewpoint pretty quickly. Even notorious gooners like Tech Tone is starting to really come to his senses of like, hey man, this fucking porn shit's not great. Like, yeah, see ya, Bupela. I love you. Do you have arguments developed based on OT as someone is Christian? You substitute jail with unalived. No. Like, I'm not gonna we're not talking about unaliving people. That's, yeah, we don't do that, right? Pleasure missing stream. Yeah, just keep working on that video, Bupela. I think it would be good. Even if you only get like a minute or two, just like rehash like maybe some of the, like, you can skip, right? But do like the first Mako reactor, you know what I'm saying? Like, do the full, have like the scorpion fight, maybe make it funny somehow, like kind of memey. But
or streams where you're just seeing a lot of hypocrites getting absolutely torn apart. You're very much most likely going to enjoy Feeble Mind here.
True. That's literally all I do is point out hypocrisy. I don't care who it is. If you're right wing, left wing, hypocrisy, I call it out. Just like I call out right wingers all the time for being little pussy babies. They want to like rage bait leftists and try to like attack leftists. But then when leftists attack them back, which it's what they're going to do, then they cry and victimize themselves. It's really annoying. I think the best example of this was the Side Scrollers podcast that I reacted to, where like I kind of broke that down of like, hey, like I'm like in real time we're watching like Straub victimize herself, like blah blah blah. Like I just don't like, I don't like it. You can't. Unalive those more. Are you talking about like Old Testament values, brother? I don't argue theology on stream, right? Go actually argue theology with people who are sanctioned by the church to do that and can actually have a conversation with you, right? I can have a conversation with you, right? But like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not here to argue theology with you, right? I'm a political streamer based on theology. Like, my worldview is Christianity, so. But no, I don't think we should be unaliving people. All right, who else you got?
X-Cross Legends, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He has been in my comment section a lot. He's been in a lot of comment sections I've seen him. He does some reactionary content, but also I think leans more towards the...
No, I'm not playing this gotcha game with you. Just fuck off.
The gaming related streams. So if there's another
who else does he got here?
If you're after a game streamer and he's covered a game that you're into, maybe give him a watch. Okay, so starting off strong. This is oh, hang on. What did I press? Okay, yep. There we go. We have Keen EN. Funnily enough, I actually jumped into his stream yesterday as I was trying to get away from my own comments section because I obsessively refresh my videos and I have to respond to every single comment. So if you do leave a comment, know that it will be read and I'll very most likely respond to it depending on what the actual content is. But no, great VTuber. Pirate VTuber. That's his whole thing. Obviously, as you can see from the screen.
Keen's my boy.
And when I jumped on, he was sharing AI sea shanties that he'd made, and I'm not gonna lie, they were a banger. So if that sounds like something that interests you, definitely go give Keen_EN a go. Now this is Rivanami, I believe, also known as Hebiko.
Speak of the devil.
Now he does a lot of AI.
Who is Simply John?
Now I believe via the
Simply John, huh? Simply John has like similar model to me. This guy, right? 34 subs.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Simply John, and if you would like to catch
Oh, he's got a voice changer. I don't like voice changers.
TV at Simply John, kick.com/simplyjohn. Continue this little breakdown off of Home Alone 2.
I don't know why people use voice changers. It's really off-putting. But I'll sub to him. That's a cool model. Yeah, I like his model. This is so fucking surreal. What? That I'm like looking at a breakdown. Well, we were looking at what he was saying about me because I was terrified. I thought he was gonna eat me alive. I thought he was gonna eat me alive. I was so expecting him to roast me, but he didn't. So, but I guess we're still in the phase of he's trying to be nice.
Some of you are not, but she is highly entertaining. But some of the stuff that comes out of, I believe via the comment that this is Simply John. Now now this is Powder, and this is her Amelia model. Powder typically has a white-haired.
Keen, he was talking about this guy. I don't think he was talking about you. No offense.
This is her Amelia model. Powder typically has a white-haired model, and I mean, what can I say about Powder? She is a giga-based. Right-leaning reactionary VTuber. If you like the likes of Asmongold or Nuxtaku, you're very likely to like Powder. Yeah. This is Gaming Paradox and very, very similar. Sorry, not Gaming Paradox, Gaming Syndicate. Sorry about that. Because I struck out twice in a row. This is, again, another very unique model, but when searching for Gaming Syndicate, there's just so many results that come up, and I was not able to filter through. I was also in a bit of a rush. I do apologize for that. but I don't want to give false credit to the wrong person. So again, if you guys have a link to his channel when you know who this is, please definitely leave a comment and I will add him to the description and link his channel. Amber Paradox. Okay, that's where I was getting the paradox from before. One of my personal... now this is Night Owl VT. Now, from what I can tell, he's a very highly patriotic Christian-leaning drama reactor, and he covers a lot of the drama in the VTuber sphere of influence. So if you do like to be kept up on a lot of the drama that's going on with that...
It's a great video. I like how he's breaking it down. It's actually cool. He's like actually researching everybody and breaking it down. I actually appreciate that.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Dungeon with this video.
It's funny, he's like jealous of Mavluck's voice, and I'm jealous of his voice. But like I don't like Mavluck's voice. Isn't this like a weird paradox? This is like a weird paradox, right? Like I just went on a tirade before we watched the video about how I'm jealous of his voice. And I'm like, I'm crediting his voice as like a reason why he's exploding the most. Like out of everybody in the SCU, he's the one who's like literally like, this guy is just like popping off like crazy, like super fast. And I'm like, oh, it's because he's got like a really nice voice, and he's also really smart, by the way. But and he doesn't ostracize half his community like I do. So, but then he likes Mavluck's voice, but I don't like Mavluck's voice because it's got like a weird filter on it, and I don't like it. It's funny. It's kind of like this weird. I mean, you know what it is. We know what scene it is.
And then deciding to ride out and meet them head on. Look at like the battle outside of Gondor.
Yeah, I don't like the filter. I don't like people who use voice changers. What's she playing? Why do I get this? Why do I get this weird shit on my? Who the fuck? Who is this guy? Guys, like, can you guys like? It's cool that you put like Straub and Rev on, but like, you guys literally put on the same like 4 VTubers every day. Bro, if I got on side scrollers with Smug-Alana, fuck, it'd be over, boys. It'd be over, bros. Oh, I wouldn't recover. I don't think I would recover. if these idiots somehow got me on side scrollers with Smug-Alana, that it'd be over. We haven't actually done any Smug-Alana simping in a while.
Heave away, me heart is heaving, never bend.
Are you making this in Suno?
Right road's bloody narrow, and it never seems to end. Through storm and steel and centuries, he carried a righteous flame. Black-hearted Jack the Deathless, but the heart still feels the pain. He sailed when Rome still ruled the waves and Carthage burned to ash. Cut down tyrants by the score, left empires in the crash. No blade could keep him under, no grave could hold him long. He rose with every sunrise, still
fucking
singing the
Bupella,
same
bro.
old song. Heave away, me hearties, heaving, never bend. For the right road's bloody narrow, and it never seems to end. Through storm and steel and centuries, he carried a righteous flame. Black-hearted Jack the Deathless, but the heart still feels the pain. 1,000 widows blessed his name, 1,000 orphans too. He stood alone on burning decks when every soul withdrew. Gave his his back to cannon mouths so children might breathe free. Took the wounds that should have killed 100 men like me. He fought at Trafalgar's thunder in the ice of northern straits, broke the chains in slaver ports, left tyrants to their fates. Every oath he ever swore he kept until the grave, yet every friend he ever loved went down beneath the wave. Heave away, me hearties, heave and never bend. The right road's grown so heavy and there's nothing left to mend.
You gotta post the lyrics in here, man.
One gray dawn off a nameless isle, the last great battle done. The tyrant's broken fleets in flame, the war at last was won. He stood amid the drifting smoke, sword red unto the hilt, and felt the centuries like lead, the endless blood he spilt. No more cheers to raise his glass, no more brothers at his side, no more right that needs his wrath, no more cause for which to die. He drove the cutlass through the deck, point first into the wood, unbuckled every bandolier, let every pistol fall. Took the colors from the mast and wrapped them round his scars, then turned his back upon the war and all the bloody stars. Heave no more, me hearties, heave no more, I'm done. The right road finally ended where the fighting could be none. Black-hearted Jack the Deathless walks a path no map can name. An old man now, though death won't come, and he is not the same. And somewhere on a quiet shore beneath a wind-worn tree, an immortal pirate warrior finally learned to be free. Let the last note hang long on the wind.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Yes, honestly, man, I like how I say it. I've said it like 1,000 times, but you know, artists are freaking out about AI. But guys, I'm gonna be honest. Artists shouldn't be the ones who should be scared. It should be musicians, right? Because what Suno is going to do is Suno is going to bring back actual lyricists, right? You have to actually be able to write coherent lyrics that like tell a story or have a meaning to them, right? We're going to go back to that again. It's going to be 2000. We're going to be like 1980s, 1970s era songwriting again, right? Instead of the modern slop garbage of my pussy wet, my pussy wet, my pussy wet, bop, bop, my pussy wet, my pussy wet, you know, instead of shit like that, or Bad Bunny, you'll put the dick in her ass, put the dick in her ass, yeah, put the dick, like, yeah, we're going to actually, these people are all going to go out of business, right? They're going to be extinct, right? Hopefully. Can't happen soon enough, I'll be honest. Balls. Big. Yours. Enjoy. So like, are these guys trying to debate them to put me on? Who is this? They're not gonna put me on. I don't think I want to go on, to be honest. I'm a little too extreme. What's she doing?
No. I think it was patience for sure.
Okay, she's doing nothing. What is this? Penny, what are you doing?
Okay, what is this? It's a contest. This is an unofficial contest.
I love Penny, dude.
It is not affiliated with Skybrows.
Penny, you never come in the stream anymore.
It is also,
guys, we showed her how to use OBS. This lady used to like record her screen with her cell phone. we had to teach her OBS. It's like,
not authorized by Skybrowse.
Penny, come back
What
in the
do
stream.
get
I miss
if
you.
Win. No idea. Attention from people on the internet, I guess. How is the winner judged? No idea again.
Guys, I got no... Dude, Penny, please.
Maybe everyone who enters is a winner. Maybe the person who is the most pleased by their own entry wins. How do you enter? Make a video with music and animation that is called Eyebrows in the Sky with Diamonds, or some title similar to that. Have the music be at least somewhat similar to the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Bro.
But you can reimagine and change it as much as you want. Like,
She's getting really specific here.
Genre, change as much as you want.
Okay,
and,
Penny.
I'll have the link to the Beatles song in my description so that you can see what it is if you're not familiar with it. And the animation and the lyrics should be a tribute to Skybrowse. Whatever you want to put in there, in the animation and lyrics, go ahead and put in there. Be creative. Do whatever you want there. Why am I running this contest? Well, this is a request from my husband. So my husband was watching the Crybrows video with me.
That's funny.
I really love Crybrows, the Skybrowse made video that is a Valentine's tribute to Pipkin Pippa. And my husband said that he does not like self-deprecating humor. He was like, well, look at all of this criticism of Skybrowse. I don't like it because Skybrowse is a great guy. And
W husband.
Himself. He's
W husband.
Himself. And my husband was like, Skybrowse needs something that praises him, not something that, insults him, even though, it's self-deprecating humor, so, it's supposed to be insulting. But my husband said, I want to see a Skybrowse tribute music video based on Lucy in the Sky.
I wish I could add him in here.
By the Beatles.
Oh,
That's
she did.
what
She
my
did.
husband
She did.
said.
Okay.
And I thought about it, and I thought,
let him
hey,
take care of it.
That is a good idea, and I know that there's a ton of people following Skybrowse that are learning how to do the animated music videos and the AI music. I bet there's a bunch of people that would be interested in doing something like this. And if no one's interested in doing it, that's also okay, but yeah, so this is a request from my husband. And
guys, please, somebody help her. I don't want to have to do it. Like, I got enough stuff going on. I'm not even joking. I just look how fucked my sleep schedule is. It's 12 a.m. My sleep schedule is fucked because I stay out. After this, I have to stay up for 3 hours to edit a bunch of stuff. I'm still trying to finish multiple projects. I'm trying to set up a Discord. I'm trying to finish my music video. Somebody help her, please. Sky, where are you? Please make another. Make a small. Make it even if it's a 30-second little tribute. Give her something so she's I feel so bad. This is adorable, by the way.
And as you can see, I'm not very good at AI, even the still stuff.
She wants this. She wants somebody to make this into a little AI thing. If nobody participates, I'll be really sad.
Is stable diffusion for this.
If I have to, I will.
Even the still images, I'm not very good at it. So if I was going to make it,
it's
would
okay,
probably
Penny.
take me weeks to learn how to do the AI animation and the AI music, and then it would probably take a few more weeks to actually get good at it. And so I'm putting this out there. I bet there's loads of people that can do 10 times better job than I could ever do, even after I train myself up at it. So let's see if people are interested in a Skybrowse praising video like this. Yeah, let's see if people are interested in doing this. And so when I say I'm running the contest, I'm not really running it. I'm just basically putting a prompt out there for people to work on if they feel like it. I'm not actually running anything.
Okay, Penny. I love Penny, man. Yeah, W husband, W wife, W family. God. Penny, come in the stream more often. She doesn't come in here anymore. I think I scared her off. What else we got?
Hello,
What do you got
everyone.
from me,
I
Young
am
Hoon?
the world's high-stack record holder, Young Hoon Kim. In this video, I will share this message. I can solve the problem of evil. Many people...
How'd you scare her off? I don't know. Probably just a random rant. I scared off like a lot of people from my European rant. When I started talking about Europeans, I fucking hate Europeans, but...
People ask this question. If God...
No offense to my fellow Europeans in the SCU, but yeah.
...is good and God is powerful, why is there evil in the world? This question is called the problem of evil. Some people think it proves that God is not real, but I believe we can solve it, and the answer is found in the Bible. First, we must understand something very important. God did not create evil. In the beginning, God created the world and it was good. There was no pain, no sickness, no death, no war. So where did evil come from? Evil came when humans chose to disobey God. God created people with free will, and free will means we can choose. Think about it. We can choose to love, but we can also choose to hate. Love is only real if it is chosen freely. If God forced us to love Him, that would not be real love. So God gave us freedom. But when Adam and Eve sinned, evil entered.
No. When Eve sinned, okay? When Eve sinned, right? Right. So Adam failed his duty. Eve sinned. Right? It's a difference. Let's be clear. Just want to be clear. Right? Adam failed his duties. Eve sinned. Right? Just want to, yeah.
The world. Sin broke the world. That is why we see suffering today. It is not because God is evil. It is because humanity turned away from Him. Second, God allows evil for now, but He does not ignore it. God is patient. If God destroyed all evil right away, now He would also have to judge every sinner immediately.
Yeah, Adam failed to tend the garden, right? Adam's duty was to tend the garden. Tending the garden includes tending to Eve and keeping Eve in line because women are inherently fucking sinners. And guess what? He didn't pay attention. He was a simp. Adam decided to commit the ultimate taboo and engage in simpery. And let Eve run the garden, and Eve decided, I'm just going to eat the apple. Yeah, anyway, I'm bullshitting, but... It's a joke, guys. I know. I'm just being facetious. I know. People don't understand that. Take everything I say so seriously. All right, Gigak, what do you got for me?
you need to chill out. I'm out here trying to cover all the new shows, but how is anyone meant to give them a chance when there's barely enough time to keep up with all of these juggernaut sequels all coming out in one single season? It took literally a single episode for Jujutsu Kaisen to take over the anime community again before dropping an entire light novel chapter over a single frame. To which the fan base replied, I ain't reading all that. Not because it was too much, they actually just can't read. I can't even hate though, because the starter's been firing on all cylinders, producing some of the most artistically creative action, referencing some of the...
Here, guys, hot take. If Naoya actually used a cursed tool when he fought people, and he wasn't just like, you know, he didn't do like the fist only thing out of a sense of just like narcissism and like humility, like, you know, just because he thought it made you look bad, you know, in his own speech, he talks about this. If he actually used a weapon, he would fucking destroy like 99% of the cast. Like people sleep on him because they don't like his character, which I think he's a good character. I really liked him, but they sleep on how overpowered his fucking ability is.
Greatest scenes in cinematic history. That's right. One Punch Man
Kill
Season
Bill.
3. We got more Hell's Paradise. This one hasn't quite gotten to the same level of hype as some of the other shonen action shows, which is a shame, because it's got a unique world with a lot of interesting things going on. See, like, the interesting thing about the power system in Hell's Paradise is that it's completely derived from Self-Cest. I'm gonna let the viewers think about that one for a second. There's the third season of Oshinoko, and while manga readers have flinched in disgust, I think the season's gonna explore some interesting stuff. If I remember correctly, we'll really get to see Ruby flex her power levels this arc, and the interesting thing about her power system is that it's derived from incest. Trigun Stargaze is bringing
It's derived from incest, true.
in the final season of the Trigun remake. Fire Force is also in its final season, and from the out of context clips I've seen, there are some absolutely insane things going on that makes me want to catch up. Frieren has finally returned, and while I'm dead excited for this, I'm not sure what the series could possibly do to surpass the masterpiece of the first season we got. Hold on a second.
This is for you, Majin Buu!
The My Hero Academia spin-off is continuing, coming off the back of the exceptional main series finale. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one, but can it ever reach the heights of moments like this from the main series?
No.
Tomori Shigaraki was my hero, do you understand? And he was a gamer like me.
Speaking of gamers, we got some sad stories about gamers.
Bro, please tell me that's not the actual dub.
2. Hell Mode Hardcore Gamer is about a true gamer who just wants to find a challenge. He browses the web to find that one title that hits, but far too often he's left with one all too familiar scene. Damn. That's crazy. Damn, an anime set in America? What the hell's gonna happen here? For one of the wildest concepts of the season, we have the Darwin incident.
Bro, this show looks crazy. I haven't watched it yet.
You're gonna see in winter.
There is no mistake now. This baby is a hybrid born of a human and a chimpanzee.
Fuck off.
A humanzee.
Ah, shit, it's Furious George. Only in anime, where you get a political thriller starring a humanzee hybrid created by a doctor named Gross Man, set in America, being attacked by a terrorist organization led by Obama, who are terrorizing America because they are, I shit you not,
vegans.
And have it be played 100% straight. Look, I gotta give credit to the American characters though. He goes to high school and he's not bullied because he's a different race or for his looks, or that he's a failed half-human animal experimental abomination. They're just bullying him because he's vegan. This is a series that has the potential to use its insane premise to explore some interesting ideas,
crazy.
if it's able to balance out some of its self-indulgent philosophical musings every time someone asks Serious George a question here.
Say there was a mouse carrying a deadly disease for humans. What would you do in that case, huh?
If it was me, I think I'd shoot the mouse.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. A new Fate set in America? What the hell's gonna happen here? Yes, we got a new Fate anime in the good old US of A. America have entered the fray, deciding to hold their own Holy Grail war with guns and burgers and freedom for some reason we don't understand. Oh shit, is that oil?
We're gonna keep it.
If you're unaware, at its core, Fate is just a hypothetical.
All right, yo, Gig is cooking with this one. He's cooking.
History and fight. Take a person like Alexander the Great, living up to his namesake as one of the greatest generals the world has ever seen, commanding an army that never knew defeat, never lost a battle, becoming a
True.
symbol of the Greek Empire that
Being
the world
gay.
still remembers to this day. But can they stop Prime Messi? Typically in war, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A large number of servants paired with a large number of
6,
masters,
7, I get
and
it,
most
yeah.
importantly, the war must be conducted in secret. Strange Fate contains a collection of some of the most varied and insane characters the franchise has seen. Something that's on brand as it's written by the creator of Bakano and Durarara, two series about eccentric, larger-than-life characters coming together to create absolute chaos in a shared setting with no
Bakano's so
true
good.
protagonist. This franchise was tailor-made for someone like him. Add to that Hiroyuki Sawano bringing his signature hype in the music and A1 Pictures producing, in my opinion, some of the best action spectacle I've seen them do, and this may be just some of the most fun you can have as a Fate fan.
It is a lot
Alongside
of
that,
fun.
we have the Holy Grail of Eris, meaning there are 2 big shiny Holy Grails on display
God,
this season.
Jesus.
And this one is not holding back at all. Beheading, death by dancing. I'm just glad we have a villainess anime with a villainess that actually looks villainous.
名前を呼んでるあなたの声
Next up we have... Oh, sorry.
ジャスティン・ビーバー歌って
When a show starts off with a cold lady adopting her estranged sister's daughter because her mum passed away in a car accident, you know what ride you're about to get on. This is going to be a heavy show, and it is clear right from the first 5 minutes. But for those whose hearts are prepared, this might be the most powerful story you're going to find this season. It's a depiction of grief that's not over-dramatized, never in your face, but it's such a human retelling of what it's like to process emotions you can never prepare for or teach yourself how to face. It's only when you do find yourself in those situations that you can only learn yourself, through numbness, pain and tears, just what kind of person you are. I would say this feels like the kind of show you would need to prepare your emotions for, if it didn't already make me emotional within the first 3 episodes. This is a story that feels so intimate. I can't help but think the creator must be sharing experiences deeply personal to them to be able to portray such emotions on screen. And it sucks that I already know this is going to be one of the best shows this season not enough people are going to be watching.
何か返せ私
Alright, see you, Walkman. I'm getting off after this video anyway. Woody!
Oh shit.
Damn, you having 5 babies?
This season, we are absolutely feasting with great romance
fuck.
anime, whichever sub-genre you are looking for. Starting with one of my most anticipated, You and I Are Polar Opposites. Anime fans have never quite financially recovered from the Gyaru takeover Marin Kitagawa initiated, but this time we actually get to see things from the girls' perspective, which is a cool idea, but we all know how it goes now, guys. It looks cute right now, but we'll see how it is in another 2 seasons when somebody actually tries and shoots their shot.
私谷君のこと好き
Wait a minute. 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 She's taking the shot.
Is this the dagger?
No way. No way. Episode 1. That's a game-winning shot in episode 1. This is history in the making, folks. Honestly, this might be one of the most awkwardly wholesome romances I've seen in recent times. Normally, I'm not into this kind of thing, but aside from being just cute, it's so...
He's not normally into this type of thing. Who are you gaslighting, brother? This is literally all you watch. Like, what? Who are you gaslighting right now?
painfully relatable at some points. The guy Googling how to keep a conversation with his girlfriend and getting caught. The two of them having completely different reads of a movie they watch together that make them understand each other just a bit more. The show so perfectly captures what it's like to be in that honeymoon period with a new partner. Nothing too cliche, nothing too over the top, just two dweebs awkwardly navigating a new relationship with each other.
Let's go. Idol arrested, charged with domestic violence.
Next up, we've got a girl who takes care of her male idol who's actually cripplingly anxious whenever he's not on stage. Oshi the Rock. I was ready to clown
this is Boshi the Rock with a man I saw.
Self-aware comedy featuring a boy failure and a girl failure in one. The show feels like it's tailor-made for every Stray Kids fan who's aware enough of the pitfalls of the industry and wishes they could potentially help their favorite through the worst of it. After Oshinoko, I think we deserve a happy show about the idol industry for once.
Yeah, please make it happy. Bruh.
Alright, despite my first thoughts, this ain't gateway yaoi, this ain't even tomboy tomfoolery. We just have a shoujo starring a cool, androgynous female lead, and you know what? I kinda kind of dig it. It's honestly just refreshing to see a character archetype you don't normally see in romance anime, with a dynamic that is just two chill, popular people being chill with each other, finding out that as chill as you are still not immune to charms. This one really surprised me. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we still have some trashy harem rom-com. Now, everyone knows, in harem anime, the childhood friend gets a 10-point buff in the race to the finish line. But what if we even the playing field by making everyone the childhood friend? That's right, anyone could be the winner here. We just don't know. It could be the tsundere.
Childhood Rumble Showdown.
The smug one. The short blue-haired girl. Even the girls are getting their fill of harem.
Could never be the short blue-haired girl.
Reverse harem anime featuring a protagonist who came from America?
What?
I can't say I'm exactly the target audience for this, but I remember when the manga finished, it was fairly popular for the genre it was in. I mean, that was pretty recent, right? That's still recent, right? I mean, come on, I remember when this was coming out. I mean, how old are kids born in that year still? I'm never going to emotionally retire from this. What's next? Sentenced to be a hero?
Same, brother, same.
Last year, Cleavertez reawakened my appetite to see more brutal, old-school dark fantasy shows, and thankfully, Sentenced to be a Hero has come along at just the perfect time to...
Guys, hot take. I think this show is garbage. I don't like it at all. I have no interest in it. I think it's boring as fuck. I don't like the main character. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. I don't think it even looks good. I just think like it has a unique older style, but like the actual animation itself, like outside of a few moments, is pretty mid. Hot take, right? I don't like it, right?
To satiate it. A world where heroes are actually treated like villains, demon lords aren't fuckable, and pint-sized anime goddesses are weapons.
I would rather see all of these guys work on Mushoku Tensei Season 3. Unfortunately, they are not. So that means Mushoku Tensei Season 3 is probably going to suck ass. Because they basically shifted the entire staff onto this show instead, so.
Of mass destruction, fueled by the power of headpats that can also do this.
She's Gilgamesh. Yeah.
Sometimes you immediately get the vibe about a fantasy show that doesn't just lift off the same fantasy templates. So
I'm in this dude's fucking head, dude. I know every single fucking meme he's gonna pull.
This fall into. It's got some interesting world mechanics with its hero system. The monster designs aren't the same cookie cutter creature.
I don't know. His powers don't make any sense. I don't really like it.
Because you see everywhere. There's a lot of little things, like how they fuse a lot of magic and technology in the devices they use, yet they never explain them. They just show that they exist as a device that seems to be logically functional. Little details like this shows the thought put into the world building. On top of that, it's being directed by the same guy who directed this episode of Mushoku Tensei Season 1, which is one of the best episodes in an amazing looking season, and that insane bar of quality has absolutely transferred over to the hour-long premiere. This is some movie level production values. So
I don't know why everybody keeps saying that. Like, it was not movie level at all. They like a lot of the action scenes are quick cuts. It's just like he throws the dagger and then it's like a quick cut into like some speed lines into like an explosion. There's no actual like bits of the monsters exploding. There's no details in anything happening. It's like quick cut, quick cut, quick cut, quick cut, quick cut, quick cut. It's a bunch of like animation saving techniques that they just like applied to everything. The action is like really like just it's not really animated. It's just like it's like Pokemon-esque action scenes. It's like quick cut, speed lines, impact. Quick cut, speed lines, impact. So I don't know. Dude, people glaze the weirdest shit. I don't know why.
How's the story itself?
We're going as fast as we can. Right, Tatsu?
It's aight. For the insane production values behind it, we have a pretty standard revenge plot about a man who got framed, a protagonist who is angry, and a church who is not the good guys.
Of course.
No way. Which is not bad by itself. I'm just hoping it doesn't fall into the same trap of having the hero party being the only competent group of people in the world that hates them. We'll have to see how the story shapes up overall, but it's still probably going to be better than your normal fantasy or isekai show. Did someone say isekai? Oh my god, it's like my favorite anime! Yes. Can't be an isekai nowadays without the patented man baby wanting to suckle on his mama's titties, sponsored by Mushoku
Hell yeah.
Sometimes I watch a show I just can't get a read on. On the surface, this is your typical isekai reincarnation slop, but then I'll have these moments of self-aware comedy, or hit me with a scene that has a surprising amount of heart in it that makes me think, wait, is there actually some potential in this? Then the guy just brings out lines like this.
Suck it on
titties is great and all.
I can't relate to this. I have nothing in common with this man. I have some things in common with this man. It's the age. It's the fucking age, okay? Nothing else. I don't know how it's taken this long for a dragon to be added to the list of things isekai protagonists have been isekai'd into, but I guess here we are. Bro, it kind of looks like a cross between a Digimon and how Power World would rip off Charizard, but the animation's actually more decent than what I would expect for a show with a concept like this. We got a salaryman who gets isekai'd and immediately becomes an accountant. All right,
Isekai office
like
worker?
we're running out of ideas at this point, but maybe this isekai is just trying to explore something deeper. I mean, tell me this isn't the ultimate power fantasy of modern work culture. Dude migrates to a foreign land, immediately gets employed, gets promoted, gets paid a fair wage, bangs another dude, gets surprised to be in a workplace where employees get to leave on time, gets respected by his boss, is full-on bareback protein extraction mana transfer. Maybe this could be a commentary into the tough Japanese work culture and a succinct exploration of the current employment landscape. Did he just say he bangs a dude? How's this for a tagline? One man's trash is another man's treasure. Noble reincarnation. Well, at least they're self-aware about the target audience of the show. But guys, stop everything for a second, because I got some big news. Another protagonist has been kicked out of the Heroes Party. Shit! Blood's even got the Kirito preset for the full beta experience. But you know, out of all the kicked out of the Heroes Party anime, this one's kind of enjoyable, actually. I don't know, something about the concept of a guy who's queued up as autofill his entire life, reaching his full potential by not filling in from random roles, scratches this part of my brain I didn't know I had. Alright, what's next? Kunon the Sorcerer Can See.
Oh no.
Huh. In anime's continued
leaflets in this one.
aging core audience, we now have fantasies about people with lower back pain. Surely this can't continue forever, or in a few decades we're going to get things like my Viagra makes me overpowered even at level
Stop. Somebody's actually going to do that.
Daughter vibes, just wholesome vibes all around. And this girl is the cutest thing you can ask for. And she turns into a succubus at night. Great. Who made this? Who's responsible for this? Police! Help! But hey, she's not the only cute daughter on display this season, as we got the Demon King's daughter is too kind. Let's
This
see
one
what
I
this
want to
adorable
watch.
cinnamon roll
I want to watch this one. This one looks so fucking adorable, bro.
gets up to. God damn, they teaching weebs how to do laundry now? Wait, hold on though. The vibes, this beautiful setting, the way the main girl describes the process so sensually. Why am I low-key getting invested in this?
うちはスーツを二重のネットに入れて翌朝ほんのりと乾燥機にかけて
It's fucking bro.
丁寧に丁寧にだからとっても着心地いいんですよ
Damn, this really makes me feel like I'm doing the washing. If watching Beast games isn't dystopian enough for you, then how about a maid-centric death game where the protagonist is trying to survive 99 games out of her own volition? This is basically
This looked really good
surfing
too.
with a death game twist, but what makes it truly stand out is the director, whose previous work was an absolutely incredibly
this guy's a
beautiful
Giga Chad.
and atmospheric series about a guy falling for his stepsister. But that atmospheric approach is cranked up even higher here. This feels like a mix of Monogatari, Madoka, and Squid Game. The OST and sound design are immaculate. Gore is replaced
seemed
with cotton
really
wool, which
good.
honestly makes it even more disturbing, as you hear the screams of pain as characters are brutally murdered to the sight of light, fluffy visuals that only serve to dehumanize the characters playing this game. This is one I'm definitely going to continue watching. And from there, we have a wholesome romance of a blind girl and her soon-to-be invisible husband, which is just a totally adorable match made in heaven. A girl who can't see and a guy who can't be seen, which means they just have the most innocent relationship you can possibly ask for, because how could she possibly thirst over nothing at all?
What the fuck?
愛してるよ山吹くん
I need a moment.
Oh yeah, this show actually looks really good. I saw a clip of this guy coming in and like the main character seems super based.
No, you got this. You're a man. Be a man. Get a hold of yourself. Shut up. I'm cool. We cool? I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good. We're cool. You're the man. Don't forget. You're the man. I am the man. Alright, I'm good. Mayanaka Heart Tune, because this season anime looked at all the romance shows available and said, nah, I got one more in me. This hasn't been the only harem rom-com to come out recently, but
this one
I don't
actually
know.
seems good.
I got a feeling about this one. Maybe it's the setup, maybe it's the girls, maybe it's the protagonist, but I feel like this is going to be the one. The Nisekoi, the quintessential quintuplets of new generation.
Man, I miss Nisekoi, man. Fuck.
I felt this energy many times before, and it's all too
I got the same vibe. I think this one's actually gonna be good.
familiar. the calm before the war has started. And you know what? Maybe 10 or so years ago, I'd be right in the trenches fighting, because this would have been my kind of show. But I've done it so many times now that I feel like...
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Did you live for this shit? You fucking gaslighting bitch, man.
Maybe I'm just getting a bit too old nowadays.
Shut up.
A show like this.
It's once again time to enter the holy battleground of lives. I am no god. I am just a mere man. But I'm here to tell you to sell everything and buy into the pink-haired twin-tailed tsundere supremacy. It's been a rough decade for us, but we are so back because I'm here to tell you this is it. This is our time. Tsundere supremacy will rise again. I'm calling on all of you for this once-in-a-lifetime generational investment opportunity. We will be the winners. We will be on the right side of history. And at the end of it all, we will be the ones laughing in the face of the crime.
And you know, I just can't see myself getting as involved as I used to.
This guy's so full of shit, bro. When he said earlier, he's like, I'm just not really too into these rom-coms and these harem shows. I was like, brother, who are you gaslighting? Like, what do you mean? Blue hair appreciate. I feel bad for the blue hair curse. No, bro, nobody likes blue hair girls except Leaflet. She's okay, right? Leaflet gets like a somewhat of a pass. Anyway, you guys should go watch Keen. I'm gonna head out. You guys can go watch Keen or Lusty. Pick one. I'll link them both. Go watch Keen. I gotta go to bed. Like my sleep schedule's so fucked. Or watch Lusty, whichever one you prefer, or both. Give them both some love. So I'm out of here. Love you guys. God bless. Quality content. It was definitely not quality content, but okay. Yes, I don't know, man. It was quality content. Oh god, hang on. 1 second.
Hey
The fight to Sanva Englandad.
This year, we need to talk about what's going on in the UK right now. So, I know the UK's having a lot of problems right now, and everyone's kind of making fun of them, and
dude, I fucking love this guy, dude. Like, yeah, I don't care if none of you like him. I will stand Eustace to the end of time. I fucking love this guy, dude. It's so fucking funny. All right. Anyway, I'm out of here. I love you guys. God bless. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.